This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular, dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rule. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
We got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fan. That's all that counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Hey, folks. Welcome to One Nation Radio. I'm James Boyd. With me, I have Rich Latta. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Wild weekend, a lot of different fronts. I guess the appropriate place to begin is Bill Russell, the death of Bill Russell at 88 years old.
Yeah.
I was taking a nap, and I woke up, and I get my phone and read it. Bill Russell has died at age 88. I'm like, I gasp immediately, and then I'm like, wow. Like, I just started thinking about Bill Russell and everything that he meant to the game of basketball, to what he meant as an athlete in the 1960s, the racism that he went through, the breaking barriers the barriers that he broke, him representing the country, him winning in college, him and Wilt Chamberlain. I started thinking about, I was like, man, like his main like kind of rival died in like 1999, and he's been, you know, kind of hanging around since. And you know, you just look at Bill Russell and he's just always there, and you never think Bill Russell's gonna die, even though he's very old, or he was very old. And I was sad, and we got at least, like, you know, the Celtics got to the finals this year. And, you know, he was able to be on the home court. He gave out the trophy. He didn't give it to the Celtics, but he did get to, you know, appear out there. And it was just, I've been listening to a lot of stuff about Bill Russell, about, you know, how great of a teammate he was. I started learning my Bill Russell history by books when I was like in 4th grade. Like, no one had told me about it. I just kind of stumbled upon it one day. I was like, hold on, what? The Celtics won like how many titles in a row? And then I just started devouring any book I could find on NBA history, and, you know, just everything he did. And I was like fascinated, but I was like, but he doesn't like score that much or anything. And then they were like, oh, he had 30 rebounds, and, you know, he's like a phenomenal athlete and a great defender, and
initiate breaks.
Yeah, the way he would defend and play defense and not block it out of bounds, great outlet passer, different stuff like that. And, you know, you always like just hear about some of the stuff that he did as far as like running the basketball camps in Mississippi, and really, like, you know, putting his neck out there for a lot of that stuff. And he was a legendary figure in the game that he was just, everyone's like, everyone looks up to Bill Russell. And they said he had a nice, like, peaceful death. He was around family. Like, they didn't disclose how he died. Kind of fitting. We didn't really know too much about Bill Russell outside of the game, except like Bill Russell don't take no shit. And I heard, you know, some interesting stories, and just think about the dynamic of being a black man in Boston, Massachusetts, which is, you know, it has a terrible history of racism, but there's also like a strong black community in Boston as well. That I don't think,
a diverse community of black people in Boston too.
Yeah,
like the Caribbean influence there is heavy,
and it's been like that is pretty much long as like the city's existed. And the cool thing that I heard about Bill Russell was he like ingratiated himself to that, that populace. And like, of course we know about, some of the terrible stuff that he went through. Like they were shitting on his bed and, spray painting
after
in
the
his
house break-in. Yeah.
They were doing a lot of stuff. And Russell famously used to say, I played for the Celtics. I didn't play for Boston.
All the way around. He saw it as, no. Oh yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. You're right. He played for the Celtics, didn't play for Boston. You're right.
Yeah, and
he famously told that to Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, and it's like the decades of like mentoring different NBA players. I don't like. I look at Bill Russell and it's just like, that's the ultimate winner. When I think about if there was a player like Bill Russell now, right, and they won the title 11 out of 13 times, he was this defensive force and just, it's like double Tim Duncan's career, like like and more. So it's quite crazy. But what are your like thoughts on Bill Russell?
He's somebody that when you're a person like me that is very much into like, making sense out of things from your opinion, and then like being willing to reconsider things based off of numbers you see, because I believe that like everybody has their biases or whatever else, and like if something's telling you if something is correlated to greatness or something is correlated towards winning and like something's out of whack with whatever you see, it might be worth reconsidering whatever you're seeing, right? So like I would look and see like these Bill Russell's rebounding numbers or the Wilt Chamberlain rebounding numbers. I'm like, what is this? I don't understand, right? The Nate Thurman rebound numbers. Well, like what? Huh? How does this make any sense? Not knowing what how the game was played, and it was just breakneck and just throwing slop up at the rim, and everybody shooting in the 30s and 40 percentile in or in percentages, and like. So when I would see like the Wilt Chamberlain stats and then in comparison to the Bill Russell stats, and then would see like what you would see as far as wins and losses versus the scoring ability and everything else, and then hearing people's accounts of both, I'd always think, oh, these people are like too far inside the forest to see the actual trees. And that's stuff like that kind of happens still to this day. I remember in Bill Simmons' book of basketball that we both, have read over a few times, like Chuck Klosterman wrote the Wilt Chamberlain part. And after like, I think an earlier chapter in the book where Bill Simmons will annoyingly try to convince you or have this argument back that Bill Russell was a better basketball player than Wilt Chamberlain. And then by citing like stuff like, oh, well, one person stood up for the players union, the other one didn't. It was like, well, I thought we were talking about basketball, but whatever. Chuck Klosterman wrote the piece for Wilt Chamberlain because, Bill Simmons was too disgusted with Wilt Chamberlain to write up about him apparently. And like I think the kind of like the dismount on that part from Chuck Klosterman was like, Wilt Chamberlain could have been anything. And Bill Russell almost certainly could not have. Like, he could have been Bill Russell, Bill Russell could never have been Wilt Chamberlain on the basketball court. And while that is true, over the years, because of things that don't involve what their playing days were, you just hear all the glowing respect that every contemporary from the 60s, and like the later grace from the generations after have for Bill Russell, and hearing stories about like how, in the 84 finals, Magic Johnson dribbles the clock out, and then he's just basically like fucking inconsolable for days at a time. And, Isaiah Thomas is like with him, and he's like, he was in a bad shape. And then, all of a sudden, he gets a phone call, and Cookie says you need to take it, and then Magic's like, I just can't. And then Cookie says it's Bill Russell, and Bill Russell says like, hey man, like bad shit's gonna happen on the basketball court. You got to shake this shit off and not let this haunt you. And like you hear all these sorts of stories about Bill Russell doing this for guys younger than him. Like you also hear about like the Kareem relationship too, and it's like, and then when they both go to that meeting with Jim Brown and and everything, it's like he was there and helped so many people in the generation after him and gave them words of encouragement and things to try to, find an edge or make peace. Like, I think probably, for me, my favorite Bill Russell moment, aside from any time he laughed, because he had like the most infectious, funniest fucking laugh ever. Like, it's just this big, guffawing, like, it's what you imagine would be like if you were going to make a black family movie and you wanted to have a funny ass granddad who had a laugh that made the whole entire theater like slap their knee. That's what Bill Russell's laugh sounded like. Like you type in Bill Russell laughing into your phone, your computer, your laptop, desktop, whatever, and find something on YouTube or whatever video else you can find it and play it. And all you need is like 3 seconds. You'll know exactly what the hell I'm talking about. But I remember him like once KG became a Celtic, they did this sit down interview where like they're just sitting there, two legends sitting there talking. And at this point, KG's 31.
Yeah.
Yeah, 31. Only really ever had one good team, made one conference finals, one MVP, was probably better than his MVP year the year before, but he was on an awful team. And like, he's talking about like Bill Russell explaining to him, like, it's more like they're both kind of, I don't know if it's filling each other out because they've made each other all-star ceremonies on and stuff, so they know each other, they have a rapport, but it's more like, it's kind of like KG, like, and KG has this big gregarious, fuck you, I'll ask you and say anything to you type of attitude, but also realizing like, I also respect my elders. It's really weird with him. Like, but he's also like, I want to ask him some stuff, but I don't know if I should ask him, but Bill Russell just like, ask away, but you kind of see like the veil drop over time over this edited interview or whatever else. But Bill Russell was just like, it was more like he was going to ask him like, how should I lead this team when there's another star? Like, I'm cutting the shit and kind of getting to the point of what KG was asking. Like, how do I, entertain Paul Pierce and Ray Allen and even the younger guys like a Perk in a Tony Allen and a Rondo. Now that I'm on this team that I've only known how to like lead people where like I'm clearly the best player, as opposed to like, in certain situations it might be better for Ray Allen to take the last shot or Paul Pierce or if he needs to get a bucket or whatever else, like that sort of thing. Like he's trying to figure out like in his mind, like, cause KG was never really a selfish guy. You kind of got to make him at times say, go out there and go get buckets if need be. Like, but so it's kind of like him and Bill Russell put together kind of makes sense because like Bill Russell made a whole career out of not being a table setter as opposed to someone that you just gotta, go out there and go get 35 or whatever else. So, he was talking about like, you'll feel it at the time comes time, you'll need to, put the hammer down, all this stuff. And he talked about how like he always admired him over KG over his whole career and all this kind of stuff. And he said, like, if you do the right things, whatever else, the titles will come. One title came, but, bad luck. And then at the end of it, and then like the end of it, part of it is like, it's kind of like, he's like, I watch you given all this responsibility to carry a franchise and the franchise not necessarily do right with you via management, like the Joe Smith stupid thing. And he was like, I felt like you've always walked the right path. And like, even if y'all don't, succeed or make it or whatever else, he was like, he is saying like, I will give you one of my rings because you have earned this, even though you haven't gotten it yet. You have done everything. And I'm just sitting there like, wow, that's that's high praise, right? That's high praise from, and KG's one of them dudes like, I like Iverson. Left it on the floor. There ain't never been no time where KG didn't give you give you everything he ever had. So, like, for me, like, I was in my feels, like, how much I love hearing that. Because KG's one of my favorite basketball players of all time. And then, like, the dismount was, I forgot what the dismount was, but he ended it and he gave that fucking laugh. And he was like, but you ain't got to worry about that because y'all gonna win. So I ain't gonna have to give you one of my rings. He started busting out laughing. And KG's like, you see how this motherfucker is? Like, he got that look at the camera. Like, you see how he is? He'll give you some real game, and then he always laugh it off. And like, that was like the big gregarious, like, huge laugh and smile and everything. And like, seeing him over these years or whatever. So I remember you were, we were talking about the 75 team, and I was like, yeah, man, like, they gotta do 75 teams. We don't know how many more of these we got with Bill Russell. Mm-hmm. Like, any chance you get to squeeze out, get an appearance with Bill Russell for the history of the game, or his history of, like, give him to drop whatever knowledge or, insight to have a actual civil rights, like a leader in the civil rights movement, yes. An icon, be, I don't say leader, but icon, like, be there for the guys. Like, that's a big deal. So, I'm glad that, all these people have all these moments, the moments that he's had with Kobe, the moments he's had with, people like Jerry West or Shaq, or, like, I remember, I think it was in the last year or two, in the last few years, he started walking with a cane, and, I believe it was the Obama administration that gave him the, Congressional Medal of Freedom and all that kind of stuff, to actually document how much of an American hero this dude actually was. And like, I think in the last couple of years, he did one last appearance at some award show or maybe it was an MVP thing that they did. Yeah. And he's like, they had Shaq up there, Mutombo and Kareem up there, and like, it's his time to talk to the mic, and he looks off to the side and he points them all out. It's like 5, all-time great centers, and he points them all 5, one by one, all 5, and you get off camera. Like, he's trying to be funny because he knows the mic can pick it up, but he's like, he goes and he whispers, he puts a hand over his face, he goes like this, I'll kick all y'all asses. Like, this shit was, like, Bill Russell was fucking hilarious. And he knew he was hilarious. He realized he was like the funny granddad. He did at the end or whatever. I was like, and I can't give you much on his playing career at the time, because obviously that was the 60s. I was born in 87. But, like, all the stuff you hear about him going through, all my contemporary legends, or all the people I grew up watching over the years, all have nothing but glowing things to say about this guy and the guidance they've given him and the guidance he's given to other people in the league and everything. And like, I love him for that, because we both love basketball. Like, this dude was an all-time great ambassador for the sport. So yeah, I was really sad to hear the news about his passing. And just like you, like, I never thought he was ever going to go. I never really ever considered it. It was kind of like in the Michael Jackson. It's like, I'm never really going to think about the day that Michael Jackson died. It's like, oh shit, he died.
Yeah, like, God damn.
Like, I'm still processing. I don't even know. Like, this is way totally different than the Kobe thing, where like the Kobe thing happened. I was just like, I need to be away from everything. I haven't watched any bit of any Kobe like tribute or homage thing, because like, it's just too emotional for me, right? Like, it had me crying on fucking recorded audio about this about the Kobe shit. The Bill Russell thing is like, I'm still processing it. And it's strange to think of it in that way. It's like almost like Ali stuff, where it's like, wow, Muhammad Ali's dead.
Right.
Huh. Right. It's really strange to even think about.
If you guys want to pick up the essence of Bill Russell, it's my favorite moment of his youth. Pretty much, it's after Game 7 of the 1969 NBA Finals. Plays the Lakers. Wilt doesn't go back in the game, either quits on the sideline, whoever you want to believe, doesn't go back in. The Celtics win the 11th title in 13 years on the Lakers home court in the Forum. The balloons never come down. They get him in the locker room, and he's like an older looking version of himself. You see the young Bill Russell, he's all skinny, and then towards the end, he's got the big goatee and the little mini fro, kind of. And then he's got the gap tooth smile, and the announcers ask him, how does it feel? And he can't even put it into words, and he just gets a big smile. He's like breaking into tears, and immediately, like, just watching that, I'm like, imagine like the road that he traveled, and this was the end for him. He never played again. And it was like, and it was to the point where he couldn't even talk about it. And at that point, you would think after your 11th championship, you probably talk all the shit in the world, right? Look at the Warriors and how they acted after this season when they won their 4th title. Imagine winning your 11th.
Well,
like he couldn't even.
Well, the generations are different. They handle things different.
True, but like just seeing him kind of break down like that, it brings you into the human element of all this, and what people really sacrifice and put it on the line for, and it. Check that out. It's on YouTube somewhere, but
you know what else is also on YouTube?
What?
The second half, or at least it was the second half of that Game 7, and I got to tell you. Like, people dismiss Larry Bird and all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm sure there are people that was out here dismissing Jerry West. Jerry West was out here busting their ass trying to keep that team afloat as Wilt was out of that game. He was sensational in that second half. I watched that second half one time, and it was like, I really can't believe they're not letting Wilt back in this game. That's weird. But yeah.
So speaking of West, it's like you think of the patriarchs of the league now. It's like Jerry West and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah.
And I think Oscar. I think the Big O's still around.
He's still around, but he doesn't have the kind of fanfare that Kareem and Jerry West do. And that's for a bunch of different reasons. A lot of it has to do with the part where like he was very hard on teammates, and he also is very mad about the kind of bullshit he's had to deal with throughout his whole entire life. So that's I think the last I heard about Wilt was when he was talking about, like, here we go, I shouldn't have brought it up. The shit when he's talking about like Steph Curry, all you gotta do is just get up on him, which is like fucking preposterous. And Richie, anytime there's like the slightest bit of, because like the variance you get from shooting from that distance, you're going to have a stinker here and there, right? And that's the Steph Curry thing. Like, people will see Steph Curry drop 38 points or whatever else, and then they'll see him have like a 17-point game, and heart more on the 17-point game than 38. Even though like that shit, and even though by the end of every series is like 26, 20 whatever points a game, he's had a perfectly fine series, just one stinker, and like every single time, like, that one stinker happens, Rich will come out here and be like, see, all you gotta do is just get up on him. Like just like Oscar says, and every fucking time I'm like, bro, will you stop? You see where this man is shooting from the parking lot. Give this man some slack. He's not supposed to be able to shoot that like that every fucking game. But 2016 finals, Richard running off with that one. So heavy.
Bro. Yeah. But, rest in peace to Mr. Russell, and yeah, man, let's keep moving the game forward, man.
Yeah. So, is there anything outside of wrestling to get to before we get to wrestling? I don't know if there's anything. The Beyonce did drop this weekend. You want to talk about the AP? Put that shit on. Still dancing, B. So yeah, the Beyonce dropped. Now, I have not heard the Beyonce, so I can't really give you anything other than to say the Beyonce dropped. I'll get to it sometime this week, probably tomorrow. But like, I heard people say something along the lines of like, this might be better than whatever people think is their favorite Beyonce album at this point. Like, you can say it's 3 different albums. You say it's like if you're going to say like 4 or I Am Sasha Fierce is her best album, I'm just probably not going to listen to your opinion on music. But like, if you say like B-Day or Lemonade or Beyonce, the self-titled album is one of her, I'll be like, okay, that's interesting. And a lot of people have been saying like they are emotionally trying to cope with the fact that this might be that good. And if it is that good God. but I'll listen to it this week. I kind of either want to get to it. I always say like when the new music release drops, I actually want to listen to like, I either want to get to it like the fastest available time, so I don't have to get bombarded with people's opinions, or like a week later or days removed, so I can get a pass like the hype for it. Because everybody, aside from maybe like that last Drake album, when a new album comes out with somebody that's culturally beloved. It's always some incredible album, and then you play it and you're like, yeah, not so incredible sometimes. So
I was going to ask.
I just want to get away from that.
I was going to ask. So have you revisited the Drake? But I take that as a no.
I've listened to the Drake one more time since then.
Not for me.
Yeah, I've listened to it one more time. Yeah. I will say this. It was funny when I randomly went through the Billboard charts, and like the only song that like, you know, when people drop, you know, a whole album streaming now, like everything, if you're, you know, a heavy hitter, heavyweight, like goes straight to the top, right? I thought it was funny that like a couple weeks removed, 3 weeks removed or whatever, a month removed, whatever it was, like I remember the charts when it was like a month before, after the last Drake album before this one dropped, and like that shit was still up there. Only thing still there is that song he has with 21 Savage in Massive, in the Massive track. That's it. Everything else is like plummeted, which lets you know. Right. Oh, so the one track he did at the end where he was rapping, and then the actual like banger he has on there. Oh, okay, that's still on the charts high. Gotcha.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm going to jump over to AEW Fight for the Fallen last week. This show was blazing. One of the great Dynamites, I think, in history. Bots in the chat. I'll get to those in a minute. But yeah, man, this was a great fucking show. Opened up, and it was John Moxley.
No. I'm sorry, Rich. We gotta stop. James Brown, just said in the chat, the AB rebrand is winning me over low key. Hey, man, Rich, tell him how early I was on the AB rap career.
James has been trying to get me to start listening to AB from the beginning.
The first whole lot of money, I was like, "Hey, bro, like, look, I'm not saying he's some great rapper. I'm not saying I'm saying like the shit's catchy. It like if this was somebody else besides, you know, guy that should be going to the NFL Hall of Fame instead of squandering his career to become a fucking rapper, then yes, like we would have like enjoyed this a lot more. But I get it, like, cause we're like, this dude is going through a mental break, and like maybe he still is. I don't know. I don't care. The song was fun, and then you know the Kanye, he's hanging out with Kanye. You're like, oh my god, these two, like the mental health issues here that's going on is like outrageous. Like this is like this is like the Shaq and Kobe of mental health. Like, so we gotta figure out how to get these dudes some help. So then, you know, he shows up to Rolling Loud, and he, you know, that new song he has, I don't know what it's called, but you know, he comes out in the hype man saying, "Do your dance, AB," and he comes out
Yes, he was hanging with Hook also.
Oh my god. Like, yeah, man, I was like, I remember Kirby, I remember Kendrick might have been like, he laughed at it, the first song. And you were just like, nah, man, this shit's a gimmick. This shit's a game. This shit is ridiculous. And I was like, hey, man, he came out with this one. I was like, y'all was asleep. Wake y'all asses up. Wake up right now. So, yeah, we here now. It's coming. And I saw him put out a tweet that said he wants to be one of the greatest artists in the world. And when he tweeted out artist, like, I felt like it was wrong that, like, he spelled artist right, because, like, he seems like one of our Florida brothers that pronounces artist plural as artists. Yes. So yes. I was fully expecting to see artists, but it was artists.
Yes.
I bet he pronounces artists, though.
I guarantee he does.
I bet that. A lot of our Florida brothers do that.
Yeah, artists. So.
CTE trigger.
Yes. Thomas Joe says the Shaq and Kobe of mental health is a wild sentence.
I had to give you something, because it was like, hey, I had to give you something.
Black Saber Jr. says the Young Bucks of CTE.
Yes.
Jesus.
Yes.
CTE trigger. Good God. Oh, man. Well, anyway, AEW Dynamite, Fight for the Fallen. Phenomenal show. One of the best Dynamites, I would say, in history. And it was like a large focus on the youth throughout this show. And that's always a good thing. So we opened up, and it was John Moxley versus Roosh for the AEW Interim World Championship. This match was awesome. I would probably say about 4 stars. I thought like Roosh is on that. I guess we got to draft him into the Jay Lethal Wrestling for Respect Academy at this point. They gave him some wacky storyline reason to justify this championship shot here. And, said he won 10 matches in AEW Ring of Honor in Mexico, whatever. And, he faces Moxley. They're at it immediately. Moxley's bleeding, almost like someone sneezed on him, and, he was bleeding. And I think before the first break, Jose was out there. There was chairs. They did some brawling on the outside, of course. They did like a big vertical suplex to the floor. They were trading those chops, of course, which was cool to see. Penta and Phoenix at one point, I believe, ran out to thwart Andrade trying to interfere. Yes. So I didn't know if this was like a precursor to like Andrade getting a shot at Moxley or something like that, but I was thinking
cool more like it further continues the Roosh and Andrade versus Lucha Brothers stuff.
Yeah. So it all ended when Roosh kind of headbutted his way out of a rear naked choke, but got caught with the Death Rider, kicked out of the Death Rider, and then Moxley put him in the rear naked choke and then put him in the Bulldog choke, and he passed out. So Roosh, ever the worker, never getting pinned or submitted. So
much like night one of the 5-star Grand Prix being the night of the Brainbuster, this particular taping of Dynamite and Rampage was the night of people passing out in submissions without tapping out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a lot of comments on this match. Roosh right now is on another level. He's on his best behavior. Roosh knows his money time. Moxley bleeding all the time rules. Haha, Blade goes burr. T-Mess says Roosh beating those Carney allegations so far in AEW. Brewhaven, Roosh knows he can't fuck around. Roosh is really that dude. He's more successful in kayfabe in 2 weeks, more than Andrade was in a whole year. Retrogram, Moxley had a fire week with this in the Despy match. I saw he was using skewers in that match. I haven't checked it out yet.
That's the only thing you heard about that match?
Yes.
I saw. There was like a bed of aluminum soda cans with the tops cut off, and I believe Moxley slammed Desperado into the fucking bed. Yeah.
Well then.
Yeah. I had no idea that Desperado was such a sick individual, but I hear all this talk about I hear like when they're doing all this Stardom and New Japan stuff, like Starlight Kid and Desperado desperately want to do one of those mixed tag matches together. And I gotta say, we got to figure out how to keep him away from her if this is what he wants to do. We can't jeopardize future. We can't jeopardize future of women's professional wrestling in Japan with this nonsense. Either he needs to wrestle the right way, or he cannot be around Starlight Kid. It was bad enough earlier this year when I saw Starlight Kid being around Mayumi Ozaki. With all her Ozaki-gun nonsense and whips and chains and crooked refs and police. No. Just no.
Can't do it.
Either he needs to apologize to the IWGP for his actions, or no, we can't be doing this. If you want to tag with your little friend in evil, fine. But you can't be doing this with her. No.
I mean, I don't mind it. I mean, seeing as how Starlight Kid will be in the Fed anyway, so we'll we'll figure this out. So after the match, then Judas played after, and Chris Jericho came out, and he came out with Sammy Guevara, Angelo Parker, Ty Conti, and a J in all red leather. Parker demanded that the AEW Galaxy appreciate them, and this clip sent WWE Twitter into brainworms, not really understanding.
They didn't sense the irony.
They did not noticed the joking nature of this. They saw this and it was like, you'll never be Roman Reigns, and they're copying and stealing. I'm like, you don't get the show.
That's the joke.
You don't get the show. So Jericho congratulated Mox on an amazing match, and then he put over his group. Then he said Anna Jay called him last week and she wanted an opportunity, and Anna Jay then said she's Anna JAS, which I fucking howled, thinking about Nikki ASH.
I didn't even think of that part.
Yes.
I didn't even think of that part. I just thought like the JAS I laughed at, and then like on Rampage when they announced her, it's literally like how I always spelled with like JAY and then space A.S. And I was like, I just laughed at that because it's like, that looks preposterous in spelling. Like it's almost like she has almost like a DMD, except it's AS at the end.
Yes. T-Mess says we need Despy out here corrupting the youth more, actually. Retrogram says Jericho acting like he was about to use his Lionheart theme versus Mox. I'm gonna be so mad when he uses Judas. Yes, we'll get to that in a moment. Cool Hand, or T-Mess also says Cool Hand Ange greater than Roman. Does Roman have a switchblade comb? I didn't think so. After that, Jericho talked about all the brutalization he took at the hands of Eddie. Talked about his broken nose. That shit looked fucked up. And he, had to be cut out of the spider web. But he beat Kingston, and then he's going to beat Moxley. And after 2.5 years, Le Champion will return. Moxley basically told him to shut the fuck up. He hates him. He's a 2-time world champion. Fuck that interim shit. He said he used to look up to Jericho, and everything he got going around him is pathetic. He said the AEW World Championship isn't a sports entertainment belt. It's a pro wrestling championship. If Jericho's got the balls, he needs to leave everybody at home. He doesn't want the Wizard. He doesn't want all that goofy shit. He wants the guy from the Super J Cup. He wants Lionheart. And the whole crowd kind of pops on that shit. So if Jericho comes out with the Lionheart kick pads next week, and then the WCW theme music, I'm gonna demand that the championship change hands.
So if he comes out to the fake Pearl Jam, you
yes.
pop one you over. Okay.
Yes.
Who has? Do you know who has the rights to that? Does WWF have the rights to that because of
it's Turner theme library music? WWE does not have the rights to it because they never played on WWE Network.
Okay.
So they set up that title match 2 weeks. Quake at the Lake
in Minneapolis, right?
Yes.
All right. So what are they going to have for Dante Martin? Do you think
he might be injured?
Oh yeah, that's right. Fuck.
Yeah, I think he fucked his knee up, which we'll get to. Okay. At the commentary desk, they pan over, and Excalibur introduces the new AEW World Trios Championships. It is time. The belts are beautiful. They look like the 1996 WCW Tag Team Championships, but 3 of them. It was really like a crystallizing moment. Like, oh shit, he's coming.
So, Rich, are you ready to display to the Twitch viewers and listeners of our podcast the Kenny Omega character that you want him to come back as this time around? Are you ready to explain it and show a version of that? Are you ready, or do you still need to workshop him more?
I feel like I need to still put it into play because I think he's gonna. It only works if he's come back as a heel. That's all. That's the only way.
Well, if that's the case, you may as well do it now. Can I tell people kind of what the idea is?
Sure.
The idea is it's almost like the Redeemer gimmick, except God is Dave Meltzer. And Dave Meltzer has forsaken him and has chosen a new favorite to get all his stars, which is Will Ospreay.
Or whoever.
At the forefront is Will Ospreay.
So it'll be like, I'll give you an example. So, this stuff you can put it on BTE or whatever.
Yes. This is totally for BTE. If this shit goes on AEW television, I will revolt against promotion. But on BTE, it's fucking hilarious. Only in BTE. And at first, when Rich was talking about this, I fucking hated the idea of this. And then he did numerous audio messages, and I could not get out of my mind how fucking hilarious the idea of this was. match, and it was like the best thing I would have ever have seen on BT in like the 5 episodes of BT I've ever watched. This shit was fucking hilarious. He was kind of like, Dave, you have forsaken me. You were not supposed to give. We had the deal. I do the work. I put on the great matches, and you give me the stars. But now that I am gone, I see that you have given the matches to everybody else. that was. He was doing multiple like voice messages like that about like Dave Meltzer has forsaken him, and he's going to end all the rest of pro wrestling so that nobody else is getting any stars except for him. Like It was fucking ridiculous and absurd and hilarious.
It's like, Dave, I see you giving away my stars. The stars belong to me. And you got to do like the voice.
Wasn't there some joke about you saying that Kenny Omega wanted to V-trigger the sun so there's no more stars or something like that? I was like he wants to get rid of all stars, and I was like, wait, what?
I'm not sure if I remember that one, but
maybe I was just holding it in the back of my head, thinking like, this is where this is all leading to. He's gonna go that over the top and ridiculous, and he's gonna say he's gonna V-trigger the sun out of existence.
Yes. My group chat has like, there's probably like 45 of these messages. Like there'll be like 20-second clips.
They're all fucking hilarious. I'm over here sweating, laughing. Oh my god!
But he's like, Dave, I can't even do it. There's a lot of pressure. Do it on the spot.
Yeah, it is.
But
like, if y'all think this is funny, what I'm doing is just like bad copies of what he was doing. They're fucking outstanding. But yeah, like we'll get back to it like next week or whatever else as Rich comes up with more material. But yeah,
bro, I was just making that shit up like off the top of my head. Then I don't even know. Yeah, but if Kenny's coming back, I'll be very happy. Let's get this shit popping. So they said the tournament finals will be at All Out. So there's one thing AEW does well is tournaments. So
yes.
That'll eat up some programming, and that will definitely, like the trios belts, I think pump some more star power, at least on the Rampage. You can throw a trio title match on there almost every week if you want. So after that, Dante Martin was backstage. He said Sam Guevara has been spending all his time backing up Jericho and hanging out with Ty Conti to avoid getting in the ring. He said he brought his backup tonight, Sky Blue, which got no reaction. But after that, we got a promo video for Ricky Starks ahead of his match. Then we got Ricky Starks taking on Danhausen. So the next 20 minutes was like the Ricky Starks
Star Maker. Star making machine.
Yeah.
The elevation.
So
the rise of Ricky Starks.
Ricky Starks fights Danhausen. Danhausen mocks Starks' pose at the beginning.
Before that, they played like very similar to Adam Page's a year ago, his come out thing when he came out with Dark Order about like the essence of what it means to be a cowboy, right? And it was like one of probably the greatest thing they've ever done for his character, explaining to people what his character actually is, opposed to just a mopey asshole that dresses up in chaps. And they more or less did the same thing for Ricky Starks about like what it means to have style, what it means to be, to think that highly of yourself, to wear the clothes. It was awesome. He's basically sitting in this almost like this nice house with a nice scenery of like almost like a backdrop of nature. I can't remember what it was, but there was a lot of greenery. It was nice, and he's basically dressing like what he thinks The Rock would dress as if he wanted to dress like Walt Frazier. Like Walt Frazier, except not out of his mind on 70s drugs. And he looked, he was sitting there and he looked nice. And while this person is, talking, narrating it in the backdrop, and then he has the match with Danhausen. So I just wanted to point out because it was a nice piece.
Yeah, it was kind of reflective of some of those videos that he produced himself before he was in AEW, which were eye-catching. So from there, He has the match with Danhausen, ends up hitting the spear. Basically, they do it like a near fall before that, but he beats Danhausen, gets him out of there. After the match, he calls out another challenger, does his gimmick from last week, and then the lights went out, and Hook came out, and his crowd lost their fucking shit. So Hook comes
on
out.
Dynamite.
Yep. Hook comes out all orange on, and it feels like a big moment. It felt like the Del Rio Ziggler cash in. Like, it was like, I don't know what's going to happen. Hook and Ricky Starks haven't been on screen together in quite a while, but nobody forgot. And Taz is on commentary. They have a short little match, and Ricky kind of manhandles Hook a little bit, and gave him some strikes, suplex, but Hook got a little bit of his stuff in, flipped out of the hip toss. He likes doing that move, and but Starks gave him a spear. He was going to give him the Rochambeau, but Hook flips it into the Red Drum and got the tap out on Starks. Crowd goes fucking ape shit. Hook is the FTW champion. Taz on commentary, sounding like this is the proudest moment of his life. There's an awesome video that was caught. Is that they put it out on Twitter. Hook or Taz basically talking about Hook, and Hook standing right next to him and putting him over huge. Like, that shit was like, yo, Taz shouldn't be emotional like this, but this was great.
He held it together very well on air.
Yeah. And from there, they go to commercial. They come back. Ricky Stark's still in the ring. He also fist bumps Hook, so he puts Hook over, kind of give him the sign of respect, ain't no beef or whatever. And after that, Starks is in the ring. He's dejected, and Hobbs is out there. And immediately, my wheels are like spinning. I'm like, is this it? Like, that's why I started thinking. I kind of sensed, I kind of figured something was going on here. I was tipped off a little while back, but they basically showed
it was Shivani interviewing him and asking for his reaction after his loss, and when they have like Joe Rogan do that to like UFC fighters after they get knocked out, and you're like, why the hell are you doing this? But in wrestling it works. And Ricky Starks was like, when I first got the FTW championship, people thought that like I was done for, and I was just done. And some line. Yeah, I got the line. I remember the line. He's like, people thought it was a noose, and he said, and I busted my ass, and I made this thing relevant, and I turned that noose into a tie. And
that sounded like he workshopped that line directly from Cody Rhodes.
He workshopped it with somebody, but whatever. Look, Fight Like 8-Year-Old Girl was workshopped too, but that's fine. This is great. And he talked about how, like, I strive for so much more than just this. I feel like I haven't been given an opportunity, and I just want to come out here and show people that, like, I am a star, and I believe in myself, and I think that I'm great. And, like, he did it in a babyface way, not like in a obnoxious jerk way. And, like, the crowd got behind it, the crowd ate it, the crowd loved it. Yeah, and it was very much like, this is clearly a dude that has worked NWA. Like, he's clearly like leaning into the mic, like he's basically like up at the desk, right? Like he's at the JCP desk or whatever, or on the stage, on one of the sound stages or whatever. So he's clearly like leaning over into the mic while Shivani is basically being a mic stand. And it's like, he's been built, whatever, how long he's been, building towards this. Like, he's the person that's had the time to do this and the opportunity to do it in that way. And it was great. And like he says that the crowd loses it for him, and like he just turned babyface, right? Like, he's not bitter towards Hook or none of that. He's just saying, like, I was given this dead end gimmick. I made it something. I made myself relevant. I've been giving myself over in TV time, all this stuff. People like me. Now it's time for me to, like, tell, kind of express it. Like, I'm turning babyface now. This kind of thing. And then immediately after that happens, not before you got a chance to finish it. Like,
bro, all I saw was like a big black arm just like covering up the camera, just completely clubbing him. Hobbs, I mentioned, has one of the greatest facials in pro wrestling.
Yes.
Stands over him. The camera's panning up. He looks 60 feet tall. Everyone's shocked. No one sees this coming. This was how you do a turn. This was just like phenomenal.
Hobbs is anti-shaboing boing factory.
Yes, he is. But yeah, God. So like Team Taz is we'll get the answer on what's going on with that. So I assume Hobbs in action this week. So we'll see where that leads. But this was the Ricky Starks segment of the show. Yeah. It was awesome. I don't regard him as like a top tier worker like that. So it'll be interesting if like they take him off the leash and let it say, hey, go get yourself over to another level. But people are all in on him, seemingly without that, I feel like. And for me, I just think the standard is very high, personally.
It is, but like, that's not all what American pro wrestling is, right? I mean, to be fair, that's not really what all of, Japanese pro wrestling is either. But, the guys are so highly skilled that it's almost like you could say that anybody could be there at a certain level. But technically foundationally skilled. But I agree with you. Like, I remember the match he had a few months ago when Jay Lethal first came in. It was him and Lethal. It was like, you tell me who's a better wrestler. They're not even in the same class, right? Lethal's better than him. But that doesn't matter. They got the people have him. So, or he has the people. So, like, whether it's Cody, whether it's Moxley, whether it's Kingston, and Kingston and Moxley have had great years, but just they are able to turn that and make that work for them. And it was in the same way that Cody was able to make that work for him, in the last 5 years, whatever else. Like, so he's talented enough to be able to give it a go on that kind of level. So whatever, like, it's gonna work because he can talk himself out of a lot of situations. He's that good of a talker and that has that kind of charisma. Like AEW's the place where this could work. Like, if this were WWE, even with new management, if this was him doing the things he's been doing, and this was NXT, I don't know. Maybe he does become NXT champion. He definitely would have been North American champion, but I don't mean because they just pick up black people that sprout. I just mean like that kind of level of talent. Like the same thing as like Adam Cole was, where it's like, or a Velveteen or a Escobar, where just like, if you are that level of charisma and that level of talker, they will get you a belt and they will get you a set of goons to protect that said belt, that sort of thing. But yeah, like, I think he's going to be successful. I think a lot of it is, I think he has to be successful in a way where it's like, he has a program with Hobbs, and then from there, he needs to start facing, heels kind of on his level. And there's plenty on his level. I think AEW is lacking at the top level heels right now. But where he is right now, he fits in the babyface pecking order. There's plenty of heels for him to face.
The feud is Ricky Starks versus Sammy Guevara. That is the feud. Calling it now. They're good friends in real life. They're both from Texas. They've wrestled each other for years. Sammy is a heel. Ricky Starks is a babyface. That will be like, we always talk about The Rock versus Triple H in like SummerSlam or the summer of '98. That's what the fuck this would be. This would be young guys, relatively young guys, trying to up each other's game, outdo each other to try to get to the next level. Like, that's the one. So, I mean, there's also MJF too, but MJF Starks would have to be graduating to that level whenever MJF returns. So, up next, speaking of Sammy, we had Sammy Guevara versus Dante Martin, RLPW style. Had the ladies outside, Ty Conti and Sky Blue. They did a lot of athletic stuff, wrestled to a stalemate, fought to the ramp.
It was a lot of Dante doing Sammy stuff as well or better than Sammy does, and Sammy getting pissed because obviously, like, that was the story.
Yeah, they was going all out almost. So they were doing inverted suplex, Spanish flies. There was like full Nelson bomb. There was like a dive into like a big cutter. Just a RLPW. Can't recommend it enough.
So it doesn't matter. So I was going to ask you a question, but it doesn't matter. But what I will say is this. The way that they had for protection Sky Blue as like an insurance policy in case of like Conti's like cheating, potential to cheat, and then she did nothing, like she was just kind of there, and she was kind of like she was in every camera shot, but like she was just there. And it was like, what are they doing with her? Like, what was the purpose of this exactly? Like, what was the placement purpose? Like, was it just like just find anybody, just be there out there just cause? And I don't recall if Ty interfered or not.
Well, yeah, like she was there essentially to set up the post match angle.
Okay.
So Dante kind of tweaks his knee at the end of this match, and I think he's legitimately hurt. Like that's what they were saying after the show. But Sammy ended up getting the win with the go to hell, and he was going to give him the 630, but then Sky Blue got in the ring, was like, hey man, like let it go. And then Anna Jay ran out. Anna Jay and Ty Conti whooped her ass and jumped her. After that, Eddie Kingston, Ortiz, and Ruby Soho ran out to chase Sammy and the rest of them away. So it was like the return of Eddie,
right? Or not the alleyway, but up like out of the arena.
Eddie Kingston shows up. Everyone goes crazy. It's almost like he's still over.
Well, we knew he's still going to be over. But, you know, if you have PTSD from other promotions fucking you, you're just like, oh God, you can start expecting the worst when someone loses. And, you know, I think there are better ways to get a title shot for Chris Jericho than to beat the dude that, like, he had just put over. But, you know, it's not the end of the world, as you mentioned.
So Daniel Garcia was backstage. They asked him about his match against Bryan Danielson. This whole thing's been billed as a comeback of Danielson and his comeback match. And he said Bryan's been gone for months. He's going to send him back on vacation with his family again. They'll call Garcia the best technical sports entertainer in the world. As I mentioned, this guy is so fucking entertaining, you know, on his own. Like he's really growing into himself, and we'll get to it when the match comes for him. But he spawned a lot of discourse. There's always something that spawns a lot of discourse. This week it was Daniel Garcia. So after that, Lethal, Dutt, and Singh were backstage. Lethal complained about his match with Joe, but then turned his attention to Best Friends, who happened to be like kind of to the right. Dutt then challenged him to like a 3-on-3 match for Rampage, and
he got goaded into it.
Yes.
And then the second after he made the challenge, he was like, fuck, I should have done that. That's stupid.
Yep. So after that, we then saw a man that had a flamethrower coming to the ring. And I'm talking about the Jungle Boy. The Jungle Boy came back out after, and we wanted to hear from him. He came out, and he came out with Luchasaurus. So he basically considered Shivani's question. He said, Christian Cage, you're the biggest pussy I've ever met in my entire life. And the crowd like goes nuts. They give Jungle Boy the handbook of go curse and and say very derogatory things, and he executed it to a T.
Yes, the Roman, crazy. The Roman Reigns WrestleMania 34 book, where it's like just go out there and call Brock a bitch as many times as you can.
Yep. I think this worked a lot better for the Jungle Boy though.
I remember 1 week I got furious because like you could tell that's what they were doing, because every time, like every promo that Roman had during that time, he called Brock a bitch. And then like one episode, like they brought Heyman out, and Heyman said bitch like 5 times in a row, and it was like, they're doing that, so that they're having Roman call this man a bitch later in the show, or like in the same segment later, and you just basically killed all of the heat that word bitch has. And sure enough, Roman went out there and he said bitch at the end of the crowd, like, Heyman just said that 5 times. And I was like, that you're such an asshole, Heyman. I thought you know better than this, so you know you did this shit on purpose. But yeah, back to 2022.
T-Message, Jungle Boy said that opening line with his whole chest. Yes, it was eerily similar. I hit him up like the first line. So said, Christian Cage, you were the biggest pussy I ever met. Then he dropped like the rest of the knowledge on him. He said at first he didn't get why Christian was so bitter. It was just a 1-match bonus from a battle royal. But then he remembered that Christian was strapped for cash because his wife divorced him. Basically called this man broke.
Yeah.
And said, you know, he was
he said his wife
holding
probably
on.
left him because he probably had a small dick. And I was like, yo, what the fuck?
Yes. He said, you know, Christian needed someone to protect him, so he found a monster, but that monster is Jungle Boy's best friend. He has a small dick, all that. He's only being protected for Jungle Boy because Jungle Boy wants to be the first one to get hands on him. Jungle Boy can take anything Christian can dish out. You know, he started talking about burying his father 3 years ago, but after that, Christian interrupted. He said he saw Luchasaurus over the past couple weeks, how Christian could lead him, but instead of being Jungle Boy's lapdog, you know, you should have been with me, essentially. He said he'll put Jungle Boy in a body bag. Jungle Boy won't have to worry about Christian insulting his dead father because he can cozy up right next to him.
Yes.
And then he said, you told me all your secrets. Excuse me. And now I'm going to prey on your weakness. This was an excellent segment. This was what I think a lot of people were looking for out of Jungle Boy. I was
better
very
than
happy.
anybody could have expected out of Jungle Boy. The nigga don't talk. Right?
He's gotten thus far without it.
You know how that is. When it is with anybody, if you don't see a certain skill set, you assume that that particular club is not in that bag. And maybe it isn't. Maybe he was sitting there practicing this promo his whole entire time he's been gone. It don't matter because he went out there and he said that shit, and I was like, whoa, I was not expecting this, but this was great. That's not what this was. I don't know if he can come out here and cut a promo next week as well. He ain't got to. He should be asked to. After you do that, what's topping that? What's topping that?
Brewhaven says Christian power washes Edge so much. Yes, while Edge comes back as a member of the Brood again, which we'll get to later. Thomas Joe says, Jungle Boy, you claim to be a player, but I fucked your wife. Like, yeah. It was a lot of that energy in there. So very excited. Whenever they get to Christian versus the Jungle Boy, all out, I got it circled. So Bucks were backstage, said they didn't want to do the color cam, but Cutler wanted to be the trios champs with them because, you know, the Bucks were going to need a partner. He pitched himself. Hangman then showed up. They ran to him, and the Bucks kind of awkwardly wished him a happy birthday. He wished Nick a happy birthday as well. Matt was going to turn around and try to talk things out with Paige, but here came the Dark Order. They were also wishing Hangman a happy birthday. John Silver overly excited. Uno perceived thought something was about to go down, but he cut it off. And the Bucks said, "Oh, it's cool. We'll catch up with him whenever," and walked off. So there's a lot of moving parts here. So there's a Bucks Hangman reconciliation there. Trios belts. Kenny's on the horizon. They announced that the whole Undisputed Elite's here next week. So what the fuck is about to happen, James?
You're asking me as if you think I already know what's going to happen, or you want me to speculate?
Whatever, however you want it, sir. Like Tupac Shakur says.
I think that this is another one of those times where they're star-crossed lovers, if you will, whereas the Young Bucks and Adam Page at this point want to make amends with each other, but because they're millennials and they're socially awkward and they can't talk to each other like normal human beings, they overcomplicate things and don't want to be the first person to say I'm sorry or whatever else. So it's all this awkwardness as opposed to if you're around each other for more than 5 minutes, the awkwardness will just be gone because you'll remember how you used to talk to each other, your relationship. You ever had one of those phone conversations with somebody you haven't talked to in a while and you're like, I don't know how to talk to this person anymore. And then after a few minutes pass, you're like, oh, it's like riding a bike. My bad. Mm-hmm. But anyway, what I think is going to happen is they're going to get themselves up to, they're going to one side or both sides at the same time is going to strike up the nerve to then say, hey man, let's just squash all the shit. Let's just get over it. All the last, couple years of nonsense we've had with each other. Let's just squash it. And right in that moment before it happens, Kenny Omega's going to show up and it's going to be Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks as a trios team, and Hangman will have to look sad and then go be friends with his other friends that actually are still his friends today. And they're going to be Silver and Reynolds or Silver and Uno with Adam Page in the trios tournament. Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. And then whether it's a year from now or 2 years, whatever else, all of the elite will be friends together, and the story will be complete of the most drawn out melodramatic story of all time that doesn't involve Tam Nakano. so yeah, like that's what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen.
Man,
that's how I see how that's happening.
I really haven't thought about what's gonna happen. I normally kind of just let these dudes do their thing, but if I had to speculate,
that's what I don't think, like, if they do something different, I'm not gonna be like they should have done my booking. No, but I'm just thinking, like, just looking at how this is setting up, it seems like those were ahead.
Because I feel like Kenny still has to address, like, the elephant in the room. Like, has Kenny watched the tape of the match? Like, has he watched Matt Jackson give Hangman the signal, like, finish him off? And like,
what's he gonna be like? Yeah, man, this is really fucked up. Like, in the middle of a sanctioned bout, like, you didn't get involved.
What? You fucked me. You turned on me. You know?
I mean, if that's what he wants to do, fine. So, what I will say is, like, if they bring back Kenny Omega and they don't do Young Bucks and Kenny Omega as a trio, it's like I'm gonna hate it. I'm gonna hate it.
A lot of people were wanting
doing
Hangman.
These belts if you're not gonna put those three together.
A lot of people were wanting Hangman in the Bucks. I'm sorry, I want Kenny in the Bucks. Just for the history of it.
I mean, sure, but like I kind of want these belts to draw. So like, I want Kenny Omega with the Young Bucks. Fuck out of here. I'm sorry.
I don't think they'd have a problem drawing with Hangman, but I think.
You could not there is no possibility you could sell a main event with those belts if he's in there. I don't think so. A pay-per-view. I don't think you can sell a main event pay-per-view with that. I don't.
I mean, I think he's main evented several pay-per-views, and Hangman and the Young Bucks would be just fine. Like, as far as, especially like depending on who their opponents are, we already know they're going to give us the level of wrestling, and downplaying Hangman, and I feel like that's downplaying Hangman star power as well as the Bucks.
No, what I'm downplaying is Bobby Fish's drawing ability, because like you need all Spirit Bomb. I need all the most powerful people's power to make that shit work. If they want to do Undisputed versus Young Bucks and another elite person, you pick Kenny Omega.
Well, somebody got to get pinned, so I mean Bobby Fish can. Whatever. But
yeah, he'll be the one that gets pinned. But like, if he's gonna be in the match, you need like a fifth person that's gonna help, or a fourth or fifth person that's gonna make that shit super tight. Where you're like, all right, put that in the main segment event that will draw and have all the intrigue or whatever else. Like Adam Page. Like, let's do this way, right? If you do Kenny Omega, right? If Kenny Omega's not in it, who do you put him in the trios tournament? Takeshita and who else?
If Kenny Omega's not in it, I put the Bucks with Hangman.
If he's not in it with the Young Bucks, if he's in it with someone else, what's the makeshift team they're going to give Kenny Omega?
The Devil again.
How do I shut this shit down? How do I turn this shit? I'm about to press stop on this fucking recording right goddamn now. What time is it? 10:30.
I don't.
No, man, we gave them a what time? We gave them a good hour and 8 minutes. Like, I'll come back. I'll come back on Thursday to talk about the 5-star Grand Prix. I can't do this with this man no more. I can't work with this man no more.
Nah, I don't know who they give him. I guess I maybe he calls up Takeshita, maybe something. I don't know. But yeah. Interesting way. We'll see which way it goes. I hear Io and Bianca went 2 minutes and it ended in DQ. So, welcome. After that, we got a 1-on-2 handicap match. Swerve Strickland, and he took on Tony Nese and Mark Sterling. Swerve basically fought off both guys at the start. But then there was a distraction from Sterling, kind of allowed Nese to take control a little bit. Sterling accidentally got tagged in, but he was running away. Swerve beat down Nese. Swerve got Sterling back into the ring, hit him with the thrust kick for the win, and this was short. I usually like Swerve and Nese together. You're putting Mark Sterling in there to set up a program, which is exactly what happens. So Keith Lee's watching this whole thing. They
weren't trying to have a super match or even a great match. They were trying to get over Swerve.
Yeah. They have Lee backstage. They cut back to Keith Lee. He's out, and Josh Woods is standing over him, who was a wrestler from Ring of Honor before. And it looks like he and Tony Nese are affiliated, and they'll be the first people that are feuding kind of with Swerve and Lee. So this will probably be, a get a nice defense against these guys on TV at some point before they start rolling into what I would assume would be their program for All Out. So,
yeah. So, just want to double back real quick. Let me double back real quick. So I just see in the comments it says Dynamite turned into a 5-minute rom-com there, and it was great, talking about the Young Bucks and Adam Page. And like, that's the thing, right? When I saw it, like, the first thing I thought about was, like, I forgot what season it was. Basically, like, the season where Monica and Chandler get married and friends, and like Rachel's pregnant, and like Rachel, I know Rich, you don't know none of this shit, but I'm basically explaining to people that understand. Like, basically, like, Rachel and Ross have been through it, been together, been broken up, teased all these times, gonna get back together, and now she's pregnant by Ross after they had a hookup at some point. And like, there was an episode where like Ross talks to her like after her, I think, first trip to the doctor or something, and talking about like, and she's having like pregnancy hunger or whatever else, and explains to her like what it's like to, have a child for the first time, and how much you love it, and when it grabs your finger and all that kind of stuff, and like, what it does to you, and like, any person you've ever dated, it won't even matter to you. And like, at that moment, like, she sees like, wow, like, I had this fling with this dude that's like the love of my life, but I was angry and broke up because she cheated on me, whatever else. But like, I'm about to give this another shot. And then like, he walked away because she wanted to go do something, and then she had that thought all over her mind, and she goes to like the coffee shop where they were just outside the coffee shop door. And as this is happening, she basically going to say to him, like, I want to get this shit another shot between us. And at that moment, inside the coffee shop, is this woman that Ross ran into at Monica and Chandler's wedding. And then, like, she sees that, and she's like, nope, timing got fucked up again by 5 seconds. I missed out. Guess we're gonna have to get back together 3 years later or some shit. And I was just like, this is exactly what this shit was. It was like, these are star-crossed lovers, and people just gonna be hoping that they get back together eventually one of these days. And like, look, man, I already got one of these on my shelf. I already got one of these like in my wrestling brain, like for Tam and Mayu to get back together. So like, I don't really have much. Like, I don't have as much for my heart that can take it towards 2 more of these. I just don't, and I don't feel for Hangman in that way. So I'm sorry for those that do and are caught up in the drama of this. I understand it. I get it. I just don't have the room in my heart for this. I'm already occupied. Sorry. I'm sorry. I do get it though. I do get it. I appreciate it. But just for me, I'm just, sorry.
So we got, Malachi Black addressing Miro, trying to recruit him to the House of Black. Brody King said he had tagged Darby Allin because he can. He said he wants Darby in a coffin match at some point. So, up next.
Is that next week?
It is not booked this week, so I don't know if it's further down the road. I thought they originally said something about it being booked like the next week, but it's not on the sheet. So,
okay.
World Women's Championship, Thunder Rosa defending against Miyu Yamashita. So this match was not as good as their first one. There were some awkward moments in it.
Yes.
There was like some miscommunication. I thought they would have a better match, but this was okay. This wasn't like it's not like the cage match where
people are giving it like 5s and 4s and shit, but like it was just a good match.
People are being over dramatic about Thunder Rosa now. Like,
and also they're in there like it's a lot of the subsect of Joshi fans that like their greatest fear is that like someone that they like
will be popular.
No, not even that. Like somebody that they think of at a certain level will have a match that is quote unquote beneath the standard of what they think this person is, because apparently it can do no wrong, and then like they will just revert and attack. So like, for example, like if I don't know, if Utami were to come up, well, somebody they love, because a lot of people think she's boring, they're idiots. If Starlight Kid came over here, right, and she had some 3.25 star match, or 3-star match in, on an AEW show and lost, people would blow their stacks or whatever else. And it's like, it's fine. You've seen her have 3-star matches before. Maybe not in the big spot or whatever else, but like, it is what it is, right? And like, but this match, it was like, there was awkwardness on the apron when they were going from some spot on the apron, and like, Miyu's foot kept sliding off on the apron skirt, and it happened like 3 times in a row before they finally did the move. I don't even remember what the move was, but yeah, like, it was it had awkward moments, which is weird because they did not have those kind of issues in Japan. In their match at Summerslam Princess, but whatever.
That shit was excellent. Like,
yeah, it is a bad night. Whatever, it happens. Does it stink because like, does it stink because like, for me, the thing that's going to get her over if she ever does it for American crowd is like a really good ass match. Yes, like, she's not someone like Maki Ito or someone like Yuka that can get over with just infectious, like, joy and personality. She's not. That's not how she's built. She's built by coming out here and kicking people's skulls and kneeing people's skulls off. It didn't happen in that way. But whatever. Like, I mean, it's not like we're getting that many matches that will exist on the AEW Women's Division that often anyway. So, like, for people that are upset about it, I think she'll be back, and we can rectify that at some point, I imagine. It's not the end of the world, but people acted like it was.
Yeah, I thought they were going a little hard on it. I thought that there was a spot where she was going to give her like that, like Robinson special style kick, but she was like telling Rosa to get down and catch it. But this did not go over well throughout the whole week, and I hope that Miyu is able to come back. She seemed to have a lot of fun. She did some like post-match promos about it backstage with Emi Sakura, and you know, I thought it was really cool to have Miyu on in front of a really big audience. I think a lot of people were losing sight of that, as well as like, you know, the home and home trade that they just did. Like, right. They just did a program with like another company where they did business in Japan, and then that person came back over and gave it back. And there was no like bullshit on people not wanting to lose. And like, there was no like, there was no bad politics to come out of this.
Right. Except, and they both got they both got pinned clean in the middle. And, you know, while the match is going on, like, everyone loves Thunder in AEW, or not everyone, but a lot of people love Thunder in AEW, and a lot of people love Miyu in Tokyo Joshi Pro shows. And like, even while that being said, like, Thunder Rosa at SummerSlam Princess, like, she got her own cheers, and she got, you know, her streamers, and people remembered her from when she was, you know, the International Princess Champion in 2020, right? And the same thing happened here. Like, Miyu came out and she had her own, not nearly as big as Thunder, but she had her dueling chants of Miyu and Rosa, which is, gotta say, that should be considered a success given like the size of Tokyo Joshi Pro. So, you know, people act like it's in the world, and I see Zekumaki pointing out, like, I was thinking of names and I mentioned, like, if he mentioned Mayu, like, I think people will be chilling the Mayu thing because like we saw her having to work Kelly Klein. So I was like, oh, okay, we've seen her in matches before, or just mediocre matches before. So, but like on a bigger stage, yeah, I guess so. But yeah, like people got to like let that shit go. Like we know this, like, you know, the standard and level of their wrestling is not as high. You know that like they're not going to get, I don't know, 17 minutes to go do their thing on national television. That's unrealistic to expect for someone that's someone that's
also
like,
they weren't gonna like drop it in the main event slot. I saw a lot of people clamoring for this to, you know, main event over Bryan Danielson. And it's like, what? Like my first question is like,
a person that has main evented not one but 2 WrestleManias over a person that didn't main event a show with 15,000 people in it. Or sorry, let me phrase it: 1,700 people in it. In Japan, and not in America, in Japan. Like, what are we doing? What are we
And
talking
also,
about?
it's like,
How's this even a discussion?
Just crying forever about the 9:30, 9:26 thing, and it's like, do you walk away from the television at that time or something? Like, are you not able to watch the match? Oh, you still are. Got you.
Maybe they think it's like a Pavlovian thing to where, like, if they put these matches that are not that good at this time right before the main event, then people then believe that that's the time to not watch it, and therefore it's becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy or something. I don't know, but I'm with you. Like, I notice that it's always at the time, but it doesn't mean like I'm less enthused to see the match when it comes on because it's at that dreaded 9:20 time slot. It doesn't happen with me.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
It's like, all right, if the numbers went down, like, I'm sure it's not the time slot because I've seen people pop quarter hours in that time slot. Like last year, the whole Elite Hangman Page program, a lot of that was taking place in quarter 7 last year. Like, and that's like the most successful television program in the history of the company. So it's just like, they're not over to that level. And, you know, the AEW women's discourse always reaches kind of a funny place where with grifters and with people that have decided to make this a cause, either that don't care for the women, that think they suck. There's a lot of different like angles on this thing. The one thing that I can say is support the wrestlers for one. And it's like, I don't know what some of the complaints are. I don't know if they're designed with solutions in mind. So that's my thing. So like, if I'm going to tell you something sucks, right, and I'm going to tell you what it is, I'm going to be like, this is why it sucks. This is what's really happening. And I'm like, well, you look at the rest of this show. Who, like, we've talked about this stuff before. It's like who are you taking off? Who are you making room for? And ultimately, it's a competitive business that I don't think they have to necessarily sacrifice extra quarter hours for to something that is seemingly losing viewers. And also, they're trying to get the TV deal popping. Like, they're not operating from a place where the money's already secured, so you can just sacrifice every quarter hour under the sun. I know people might not want to hear that, but it's the truth. So, and, you know, people want to point across, well, WWE did this. I'm like, well, WWE had all that stuff secured. Like, they were able to waste all those hours on Charlotte, on Sasha, on Becky, on whoever. And I
get what you mean, but I think waste is a bit harsh of a word.
Yeah, they were able to sacrifice these hours in investing in them, right?
All right.
Should I say it like that? Like,
yeah,
they sacrificed a lot of hours.
That sounds a lot better than wasted.
They sacrificed a lot of hours investing in them, and they may have gotten 2 people that are consistent, like, quarter hour draws out of it over all these years. So, like, I don't know what the realistic expectation is here, but, you know, get your stopwatches ready, I guess, if it helps you feel better.
Yeah, Yeah, I really don't have much to say. We've talked about it to death over the years with AEW. It's like, look, do they have a strong women's division? Not really. Do they have some talent there that I think could be foundational blocks? Yes. Do I think they'll be able to get through all that stuff with the limited amount of time that they put on their show? It's doubtful. So, you know, that's just the math. Like, my math on it is like, are they likely to succeed and make this thing, you know, over the long term, be a big deal, or a significant deal of the programming compared to like, you know, like whenever like Brit's not on, or when Brit's on compared to when Brit's not on? Probably not. But whatever. Like, I mean, well, Jade also be included in this map too. Jade and Brit. But yeah, like, that's where we are. It ain't gonna change. Like, I don't really think it's the end of the world. I don't really think it's like some dereliction of duty on behalf of the Booker Tony Khan. I just think that, like, this is one thing he's not good at so far, right? And like, there's no such thing as a perfect Booker, and like, so that's what it is. Do I wish it was better? Absolutely. that's where we are. And like, if people like, and the criticism is fair, in a lot of aspects. The one about like what the time slot is where it happens, outside of the Pavlovian thing, I don't really think so. But it's like, we haven't just seen them stuck there all the time. We've seen them in different times. We've seen them, we've seen a main event once or twice. We've seen them in the first hour a few times before, but we normally see them in that 9:30ish, 9:20 range. But I don't think, I think that when people talk about like the ratings pattern of it, where it falls there, is like, it falls because that's like the ratings pattern of all TV shows that are 2 hours. Like, it's going to, like, AEW only books where it's like they front load the first hour of the shows, and then they have they normally have a main event worth watching, and a lot of times like it drops after the first hour, and then it picks up for the main event if they have a good main event. Sometimes the main event's not good enough and the shit never rebounds. Period. So, I don't know. I don't.
So Zekamaki says Tony isn't good at booking the women's division because mainly the things he looked up to growing up is WWF, WCW, and ECW. They didn't have a women's division, or it was trash. I mean, I think maybe, at this, I disagree with that, because you can just apply whatever to whatever situation. Like, you got enough people working back there with him. He's obviously working with them. He's also turned around like two people that have become stars. So that shows me he does know what he's doing, like, to a certain extent. I think that it comes down to them stepping up and executing, and then like getting the opportunity. But like I said, getting the opportunity is going to be very tough with this loaded ass roster. Like, we're looking at one of the most talented rosters in the history of pro wrestling, and we're talking about a disappointing G1 happening right now, right? The matches that were on tonight, the opener and the close, those were the G1 matches, right? And then we have Thunder Rosa and Miyu, and no shame to them for going out there and not having their best night, right? But if we swap them out and we throw two other women in there, and it's like, can we consistently expect the pairing, like, from the women's division to match what the men are putting out? And we saw this at AEW Revolution when the two women's matches came on, and it just did not hold up with the rest of the card. And it's like, there has to be some truth telling here. Like, at some point, people have to not run from this. Like, yo, it is what it is. Like, someone's got to step up or step aside, as John Cena would say. So, yeah. So from there, we got Daniel Garcia taking on Bryan Danielson, the main event. I had mixed feelings about this match because I got taken out of it, like, through some of the first, before that, I thought the work was excellent throughout it, aside from the stuff I didn't like. I liked the fact that Daniel Garcia got a win here over Danielson. They took the route of, protecting him to an extent, which, is whatever. Like, I think he was protected enough from the fake concussions and shit like that. But it was kind of like, in Japanese booking, someone's injured, big first match back, lose. Of course, that's a foreign concept to, some people who have only watched certain promotions or
don't watch sports at all. Like what do you mean? Like, he got cleared by a doctor. Of course, that means that he's 100% where he used to be before the injury happened. Mm-hmm. we will never put a pro athlete like back onto the playing field, like, not exactly like at the same level they were before they left off. That never happens. Oh no.
Kevin Durant 2019 finals never happened.
Yeah. I wouldn't even think about that. Just like, do y'all not watch football? Do you think these people are 100% when they go out here? They miss a few weeks and then they come back out. Do you think that? No, you do. You think they're like what they were before they went into spring training, or not spring training, but went into oh my god, what is the word? Mini camp? Really? Okay.
So from there, Garcia basically Garcia and Danielson have a really hard hitting match. At some point, Danielson starts selling like he has a concussion and all that, and I immediately spot it, and I'm like,
Yep.
fuck this. Like, I'm not safety policing this or anything like that. I'm not bothered that or sickened that he tried to do this in pro wrestling. I just thought it was
this
whack.
Is what you want to see out of Daniel. This is the only you see out of Bryan Danielson. You want to see him get up and fight. You don't want to see him like just sell forever.
Like that. And then like they do that whole thing, and then he does the DDT to the floor on the outside of the ring. Daniel Garcia, being a fan of Bill Watts, ripping up the mat. Straight concrete out there. DDT's on concrete for the commercial break, right? And I see this, and I'm immediately Jake the Snake, Ricky Steamboat, thinking like, yeah, Steamboat wasn't seen for months after this. Brian's back up fighting immediately, and I'm just like, fuck this. Like I don't have to just because it's Bryan Danielson, like I don't have to just sit there and watch that and be like, it was great. Like, no, like I thought this didn't make sense. I thought this was like, I thought a lesser wrestler or a lesser statured wrestler would be ripped to shreds for doing this. They would be told they didn't know how to work. They would be told like, you know, you need to do whatever. Like you're exposing the business. You'll be doing all this stuff, right? And I saw this, and I was just
this textbook. This young kid is doing way too much,
right? Yeah. And I thought it was just like I thought it sucked. Personally, I was just like, this is whack. But they continue working the match. Hager comes up out of nowhere, grabs the foot. There's a big submission sequence. Yes, John Cena versus the Nexus with the DDT spot. Yeah.
Yes! Yes! That's exactly what the fuck this was.
Like, bro,
I totally forgot about that.
Like, bro, like I saw this and I was like, I'm looking for the timeline. I'm looking for anyone to talk about it, right? And I'm somewhat reserved on Twitter with, you know, my like when I really want to go out the window on something, I will. But I didn't see anyone bringing this up. I didn't see anyone, you know, talking about this, whatever. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'll just save it for the podcast and then let everybody, you know, hear it there. But I didn't like this match.
So for me, I thought that it was a really good match, and well done. I thought that I didn't like as you mentioned, like the implementation and the selling throughout the match of Danielson has been gone with an undisclosed injury, but you, a smart wrestling fan, knows that when people don't disclose the injuries, we assume that it's either COVID jail or you're in a hyperbaric chamber getting your brain fixed up, right? CTE tings. Right. So then Danielson then does all these spots to make you think, oh my God, this guy is out here with drain damage, and Garcia's out here going to town on him, and then because it's like, okay, so you're playing on the smart fans' perception and them always having this weird thing with his brain because he had to retire for a year or was forced to retire for a year and change because of his brain. CTE is God damn it. I can't finish the show because he was laughing at the fucking Twitch stream comments.
The Twitch comments are only getting greater. Shout out to you guys.
So yeah, like for that part of me was kind of like it was an eye roller, but the match was great. Or really great, good, whatever you want to call it. But then the finish happens where it's like, okay, so obviously the excuse is Danielson, he's fighting from underneath because he came back too early, whatever else. Just like we talk about Japanese book, right? And the next thing I know, they get back in the ring, and then arm grabs Danielson, and you're like, what? And then Danielson loses. He passes out without tapping, as you mentioned. This is the second one of what will be a third one on this taping, where someone gets tapped or someone loses via ref stoppage without tapping out. And then it was revealed that Hager interfered. So it's like, okay, so Garcia, after you've given this man, I don't even know how many main events on Rampage over the last
more than anybody since he's debuted.
Yeah, I don't know. Tons of main events. All these spots where he's a number 2 or number 3 in a faction like JSH or JAS. He was the number 1 guy in basically like the Buffalo Boys clique or whatever it was, or not Buffalo Boys clique, but him with the 2.0. Yeah, 2.0. He has an upset win over Kingston, all this shit, yada yada. Flash forward to today,
winning for months. Right.
Has to get, gets rolled up by Willer Yuta, the biggest star in the business in the words of Rich. And like, we get to this point and like, you want to put him over, but then like, by you doing one, Danielson is actually really like back too early with injury. And then we have another guy help him fucking cheat. Like, you put him over, but you didn't actually put him over. So it's like, for me, like, got in the way is like, how many condoms do we need to put on Bryan Danielson? Like, and it feels almost like Danielson came back, he wanted to put over Garcia, and he wanted to tell the story about the brain thing that would have been perfectly acceptable as for why he lost his match, right? And then it's almost like, it feels like either somebody or more specifically Khan was like, nah, bro, I pay you too much money to be losing to Dan Garcia. You got to also have someone else help him too. 2-on-1 also. And then Danielson was like, fine, fuck. And then went out there and had the match. And like, for me, I'm like, sometimes matches are just really cool and there's matches just to do, right? And that's fine. Other matches for point of like showing people or changing people's trajectory, right? This one was neither a cool match nor changed anyone's trajectory, and that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. But like, I see I saw the cage match rating for this, and I was like, you thought this is one of like the 50 best matches in the world this year so far? Really? Look, man, I love Bryan Danielson. This is the first time I've done it in a minute. I love Bryan Danielson as much as y'all do. You know what? I love him enough not to lie. This match was as good as fucking like Daniel Bryan versus Kenny Omega, or Daniel Bryan versus or first in the beginning of the year against Adam Page. This isn't like what? Why is this so high of a rating? What are y'all doing? This wasn't as good as him and Moxley from what's it called? Or no, get out of here. It was a very good match. You want to call it great? I'm not going to argue with you, right? It wasn't my cup of tea, but I understand why it went off for people in that way. Acting like it's one of the very, very best matches of the year. No. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Like I can recognize the work and, the match layout and, some of the stuff, but there was just things in the match I just couldn't get past. Like, and I thought there was some double standards going on here. This isn't even the same league as like Osprey and Dax from a couple months ago. Not even the same league. No. Yeah. Or Kyle O'Reilly and Ray Phoenix. Stuff, shit like that. Like, no. Just no. I understand it's a different type of match. Like, no. Even still, no. Yeah, man. We've got a lot to get to, though, so I'm going to punt on Rampage.
O'Reilly. Don't risk getting stranded with a bad battery. Our professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts will test your battery for free. If your battery does need to be replaced, we'll help you find the best battery for your vehicle and your budget. Don't wait until your battery is dead. Get it tested for free today at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You could save big when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, but when we just come out and say it, it feels like it falls a bit flat. So we're going to sing it.
We're singing words now.
We'll even sing the business part.
Save big when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive.
Now that's a commercial you'll remember, even if you don't remember the bundle and save with Progressive part.
We're singing a commercial.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discount not available in all states or situations.
This is the end of the jingle. A jingle about insurance.
But SummerSlam. So, did you catch the whole show, James?
I watched all of SummerSlam, unfortunately. Yes.
Okay, so I caught the opener. I caught everything from the tag match after. So I'm missing the middle portion. But the stuff I saw.
The tag match is at like the back half of the show, I thought.
Yes, because like I got home from we were out with Jeremy, and I tuned it in. I was in the middle of the tag match. Okay. So I watched the rest of the show live that night.
Gotcha.
I caught Bianca and Becky.
Okay. So you missed the beginning part. Okay. All right. So let's go match by match real quick. Overall thoughts of SummerSlam. My overall thoughts of SummerSlam are: I wish very much that I had not watched this thing straight through without fast forwarding. They're like, regardless of whoever is at the helm right now or will be in the future, SummerSlam had to suffer from the same exact issues that every WWE pay-per-view does, which is the pacing is atrocious. They put, I can't even say atrocious right, but they keep fucking up, putting all this shit that does not belong there in these shows to pad the runtime for no reason other than what do they call it? Eyes on the product or whatever else on the
hours.
Yeah, hours. Whatever. Watch time. Yeah, if you will. It's awful. It's annoying. And like, if these shows were distilled down to what actually is there, if you just fast forward through this stuff instead of being, a sucker that watches live, your experience is so much better. And I gotta say, if your experience is better watching it on delay than watching it live, your experience sucks. That's period. I don't give a damn what it is while I'm watching. Just want to say that from there. As far as the match by match breakdown of this show, I don't know how you can get away without saying this was a good show. As far as like some of the stuff that's happened as far as their booking and protection for people or whatever else, it's still a WWE product that's still in the changes over for get away from Vince and like from all accounts, like this is still Vince's, like this show is still everything that was laid out for what Vince wanted before he, quote unquote retired. But like, I think depending on how people feel about the main event, they either thought this was a good show or as far as wrestling wise, bell to bell, they thought this was either a good show or a very good show. After what I saw from Stardom on Saturday and Sunday, I can only say it was a good show.
I'm kind of mixed. I don't know like whether it was good or bad. It was in the middle kind of.
Oh, the pacing was awful. If you want to say it wasn't good just because the pacing alone, I'm not going to argue with you because it was horrible. There was like 20 minutes before the end of the some main event in the main event. 20 minutes.
Yeah. Lots of video stuff. And like I said, I got there during the tag team title match. I'm glad that, they didn't. All right, the Usos and the Street Profits had a match that was only to a certain level to where people could not even start lying on Twitter. Like,
what did I do?
Let's say the Young Bucks didn't have to worry about trending tonight. So
I don't even remember what I gave that match as a rating. I don't even know. It may have been good. That's what I said. It maybe was good. Maybe was good. But like once like they get like I don't know how quick they went to fucking one of the Usos slapping on the chin like, and I was like, are you fucking serious?
Bro, I saw this, right?
Slapped are we just gonna jump around or are we gonna go match by match? Which one what do you want to do?
We should jump. I just want to look at the top three and then talk about the women's match.
All right.
So the Usos and the Street Profits, Jeff Jarrett's the ref. Jeff Jarrett's
never played
still
the finish
fucking
at all.
gun show. Didn't play for the finish. Don't know why he was there. Whatever. He was there simply. So last month they did a disputed count for Jeff Jarrett to count the finish clean as a sheet this time. When I saw this, I was like, the Street Profits have to go to hell now, right?
Yeah.
Like what else is there for them? They should have switched the titles to the Street Profits, and I'll say it again.
Especially
the better team is the Street Profits out of these two.
After that entrance, when they come out with the cheerleaders, like everyone knows about Montez and Bianca's Bianca's marriage. Bianca came out and was the best fucking babyface you'll ever see in front of her in her home state. They loved her to death. She came out in fucking chaps. We'll get to that in a second. But they come out, the Street Profits come out with the Titans cheerleaders. They're wearing Titans colors. They have the Street Profits logo in the shape of the Titans fire pin logo. We're good to go. We're ready. It's time. Right? Like, I understand that they've been tag champs before, but these are the I don't know. They're not unified, but they're the double tag things right now. It's a double tag match or whatever else. The Usos have had these belts for like 300 and something days, like 370 something days or some shit. Like one sets of the belts. I don't know when they won the second one. Don't know. Don't care. Not gonna get into it. Whatever. But they've been the champs forever. They're stale as all hell. They've been out in the sun. They've done this forever. Like, they're just goons right now to just make Roman's matches in the main event worse at this point. Like, they're never going to make either one of them a single star. They're just a great tag team, and that's what they are right now. And there's no shame with that. But at this point in this stage in the game, if this were any other promotion, we'd be saying they've done this for forever. We can't, like, if they're going to be the champions again, it needs to be for a short reign to put over the net, to get over new people. They're on day 100, 300 and something, whatever else. There's a team to put on that's a hot team that could be the guys that they hand the torch to. And the people, and they said, or not them, but like the booking committee said, no, we're going to ride with this story of we are making the Usos a tag champions long running because Roman Reigns is the double singles champion, which is like, why? That doesn't add to Roman Reigns' star power whatsoever. They can just bring the fucking Usos out. Who gives a shit?
Like, bro, they didn't wait for Kenny Omega to lose the AEW World Title before they took that shit off the Bucks. It was like, no, bro, it was time for the Lucha Bros.
I don't even want to do the comparison or whatever else. It's just like, fundamentally, what the fuck do the Usos in 2022 without the prospects of the very last New Day title feud do they serve other than to serve up and help put over the next crop of tag teams right now? Feud with them, go 1-1, and then the younger team wins at the end of it. Sure, fine, but they have beaten them all year. Didn't they beat them on day one?
They fought the New Day at day one.
Yeah. I'm sorry. But I'm confused with the different black teams.
Like the only use I could see for the Usos, right, is if they feel like they've elevated these guys. I'm not saying that necessarily they did, but if they're your champions, your long running champions that have been in the company for over 10 years, all right, use them as a dream attraction at this point, right? Have them fight singles guys and matches like where the singles there's two singles guys that have to team up and then face the Usos and make it like a big deal like that while somebody else has the belts, because the belts, as you mentioned, like I can't tell you like any classics or anything or a narrative they're trying to establish other than
the narrative is Roman Reigns the narrative is Roman Reigns is so great that his two goon cousins are also the tag champs. That's it. It's not anything about the tag team division or the Usos as a tag team. It's almost like all that shit y'all saw them do in 2017. Nah, man, fuck that. Like, it's all about Roman Reigns and sucking the dick of Roman Reigns. And like, look, man, Roman is great. We don't have to do this to elevate Roman because it ain't doing a damn thing for Roman Reigns other than he has two heaters, and you can have heaters without the belts.
Right. So yeah, just a all right match. Double J was the gun show though, and still capable, kind of, as we saw a day later. SmackDown Women's Championship match, James. I have 2 packs ready. I've been talking about 2 packs tonight. And James, all I want to know is why won't they let Liv Morgan win? James.
I'll throw it up. I'll throw up the lob. But Rich, they did let her win. What are you talking about? She beat Ronda Rousey 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring.
Well, you see, James, winning and losing goes beyond what the finish says. Was this the action of a winner? Was retaining the championship by stupidity of a referee like something honorable, something to be proud of? Was Ronda Rousey being too dumb to realize her shoulders were on the mat after Liv Morgan threw some of the most terrible strikes that I've ever seen in the history of wrestling in under a 5-minute match? This thing was a disaster.
But Rich, Ronda's not dumb because Ronda made the person tap out before she actually got pinned. She got fucked.
Rey Mysterio in 2006 thinks he was strong, but compared to this.
Yeah.
This is a geek. This is I don't know how they keep making the bit better for me, James. Like, if she would have just lost in 3 minutes and got squashed and Ronda turned heel in the process, that would be less damaging to Liv than what this was.
Because at least that'd be like martyr booking.
This would be like, oh, y'all really don't believe in her. Y'all really have no confidence in her. This is the type of booking that makes people not believe in the baby faces anymore, because this is a geek. This is like, people keep gassing this shit up and they need to stop. And all this is just another reason to not be proud and to realize why Liv Morgan will never win. And people just, they're just so happy she's the champion, but it's make believe. It's not real. Like, look at this offense that she was able to land in this match.
Okay, so in like a 4.5 minute or nearly 5-minute match, she probably had like two. If we were going to judge this like a UFC fight, right? Like, she probably had 2 moments of significant offense, right? But outside of that, Ronda manhandled her, whooped her ass, and had her on the verge of tapping out multiple times. And I think on the 3rd time, she stacked Ronda on her shoulders, and then before she could even hold out the hope of getting to the 3 count, she gave up before she could even get the 3 count.
Man.
Yeah, this is, and then after the fact, Ronda was pissed because she got screwed over, and then she beat Liv down, which is a heel move.
Snaps and whoops her.
Which is a heel move, and then they let her beat up the ref too, which is a babyface move, because we don't give a fuck about authority. And it's like, what do you want from Ronda Rousey? Do you want her to be a heel or not, or a babyface, or what?
Oh, they definitely wanted her to be a heel now.
Well, now, because Becky early in the show, yeah.
But
even though they might be able to smoke because we don't know how bad her shoulder is, she might be gone. She might not be able to make it back for WrestleMania.
The undergetting of Ronda Rousey should be studied in Wrestling Booking University, because man,
she came out and her pop.
About this woman.
She came out and her pop was like pathetic, absolutely pathetic. This is one of the biggest pay-per-view draws in the history of American fighting.
But all I'm told is
she came out here and she got a pop like the level of like Baron Corbin.
But it's amazing when you juxtaposition.
Not Happy Corbin, Baron Corbin.
When you talk about what Ronda was when she entered this company, and all I'm told is how much WWE cares about the women, how well they book them, how well they do all this stuff. But like, Ronda comes out and no one could give a fuck in 2022.
Yeah,
no one has an answer for this.
She's killed off that much of her goodwill, and she has killed off. In WWE's booking her the way they booked her, has killed off like the fans' goodwill or them wanting to see her. Like, when they did all that,
I don't know why they would do this match to her, like where they do like the tap out there. They have her on the mat, and it's just like, your shoulders are on the mat. Move, like you hear the referee counting.
That is the only time. Look, man, has Ronda lost clean yet?
WrestleMania got rolled up.
WrestleMania,
she got rolled up. WrestleMania 35.
That was a disputed finish, remember? Her shoulder was up.
Yeah, they did that. let's see. They did the Charlotte cheated this year.
She's never been being clean.
Yeah. And you're wasting these losses on her. It's like, yo, stop the fantasy, stop the bullshit. Have Ronda go over Liv, finish the experiment, let the people cry, because I guarantee you they don't feel better about it unless they're just, I won't even make further derogatory comments towards them. But
look, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, like, just book like it makes sense. Like make it make sense. Like, you want Ronda to be champion. She's a big star, right? But
they don't have this problem booking Roman as a heel. Now, do they?
They do not. They could have just had her
run over Brock Lesnar when he was heel. Did they?
They could have run over Liv, turned her heel in the process, have her brutalize her, do whatever, sacrifice her. And then, like, you're turning Becky babyface in the beginning of the show anyway.
But Rich, we can't do that because that would make sense to actually have a top heel then have a babyface in place for them to topple that said heel that they put all this energy into getting all the heat for. So we can't do that. We got to limp even along. Though we did because remember the last time we did this, we got to WrestleMania 34 and we said, never mind that. Hey, Brock, split his head fucking open and then hit him with your fake fucking move and leave and waste the last 3 years of your customers' fucking time. So no, they don't know how to do this anymore. They don't.
They would rather carry on and with a limping lame duck champion to go forward, and it's like, well, why? Like, right. and then Ronda gets the storyline suspension after she goes away, right. So it's like she's carrying this belt like a fucking geek, and it's amazing.
Wait till Charlotte shows up.
It's amazing. Like I couldn't script this. The philosophy of Liv Morgan will never win. I couldn't dream of it going better than this. And she's won the title, James, and I am the one that is still correct. Imagine that.
Like it's really hard for like Dakota Kai.
Look, you people in the YouTube comments, take your L's, open the packs.
Look,
it's for you.
It is really hard for Dakota Kai to show up on WWE television and not be the biggest geek in the division. It's really hard. And they have managed to achieve this with Liv Morgan. And at least Dakota Kai is a good fucking wrestler.
Pat going up. Man. Stop the charity. That's all I ask.
All right. T-Met says, turns out the 9 deaths of 24 children is bad for publicity, but who knew? Hey, I gotta say, she was a Sandy Hook denier well before she showed up in WWE. So, like, you can say that's true or whatever else, but like when she showed up at Royal Rumble 2018 and that crowd popped like that, people knew that about her then too. So, I don't know how you do the math on that to say that this is the cause of it when it's like that was the cause that happened beforehand, not afterhand.
Yeah. Yeah. So look, Charlotte will be back soon. Don't worry. Yeah. World title match. Roman Reigns managed by Paul Heyman.
He got involved in the match, so you may as well say him too.
Yeah. Taking on Brock Lesnar. And man, the last man standing match. Brock pulls up in a fucking tractor with a bulldozer on the front of that shit. I'm like, what? Like, I see that entrance and I'm like, huh? And Roman Reigns' entrance, by the way, just one of the longest. Like, this is Undertaker levels. Like,
Undertaker wasn't even this slow.
Like, no. It might not even be. Yeah, this may be worse than Undertaker.
It was,
and it's just like, yo. I do like the song though. Like, the more I hear
it, that's not a problem. The music's not the problem. The problem is, why the fuck does it take you this long to get in the ring? And I understand that the idea is you build the heat, blah 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 blah. But it's like, look, bro, Randy Orton and Undertaker didn't waste this much of our fucking time. And I understand, I understand. I get it. It's part of the whole presentation and package. But this shit like this makes me not want to watch the show. these shows. It doesn't. Like, there was a lot of instances, like, with the extra long runway, like, when the Riddle stuff happened with Edge coming out, where it's like, especially with the entrance being, like, crooked to where it's like, it goes straight out, and then it goes at, like, I don't know, a 45-degree angle to get into the entranceway, and, like, where people were, like, because people are trying to run or whatever else to see the time up, like, when people are coming in, they can't see because there's a crowd in front of them from the vantage from the ring to actually the entrance. And, like, there's a whole lot of, they'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. They'll be coming around. Like, when you, like, if you watch, like, when Riddle and Seth met at, like, the junction point, you can see Seth is clearly, like, jogging at, like, such a slower pace than actual, like, real running because he doesn't know when, like, all of a sudden, like, he's up on him and he's running at full speed and there's no time to stop and we end up looking like doofuses on air. So, like, it was just a lot of mishaps like that. But, like, that long ass ramp, like, hey, bro, I remember they used to do this at the Royal Rumbles, whatever else. Undertaker, Big Show, Mark Henry, Brock Lesnar, guys that can get blown up really easily. Put Roman in a fucking golf cart and ship his ass down to the ring. Make it look fly or whatever else, but, like, come on, man, pick this shit up. Pick this shit up. Like, I just watched 2 of the best shows of the year so far over the weekend. They walked their ass straight down to the ring and got to work. I don't have, like, this shit was just awful. This shit this is the only part of the show I fast forward through the shit. I was like, this is interest. Fuck that. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. But for, like, the other 3 hours and 10 minutes of this show, I sat through it while I was like, this is just superfluous fluff. They're just adding to the show to waste my time.
Unfortunately, I was live, so I could not fast forward. So I got both of their entrances. Brock pulls up in a tractor, jumps off that bitch to begin the match.
The dumbest. Not Roman takes all that time to walk down to the ring. Brock pulls up with the fucking with the bulldozer, tractor, whatever the fuck, the heavy machinery. Ha ha ha. The heavy machinery. And Brock does his his spiel, whatever else. He throws the mic, Roman catches it, and that was cool, whatever else, and he winked at him, it was cooler, whatever. And then, like, he does the match, and I'm like, I remember while watching, I messaged y'all, like, in the group that has Chad and Sam, and I was like, Brock better not have dove on this motherfucker. I know damn well Roman not finna let this motherfucker dive on him. How the fuck you gonna get down? Right? And then sure enough, holds the belts up, turns around, gets dove on by Brock fucking Lesnar. I'm like, so Roman's this is dumbass. How else was he gonna get down? Dummy!
Oh, man. A lot of this match had last man standing disease. By that, I mean lots of waiting around, standing, counting the same sequences that you've seen in every single Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns match, just hitting each other with big objects, steel steps, chairs, whatever they could find ringside, just waiting. And I was like, man, aside from small changes in their appearance, if you were to chop up every match that they had that wasn't WrestleMania 31, you wouldn't know the difference in all this. And then, like, it just kept going and going and going and going. And then Brock Lesnar, much like Buddy and Blue Chips, gets on the tractor and then decides, I'm going to start moving the ring around. And then, like...
before you get there, he puts Roman into the scoop part. He turns it back on. He lifts it up above the ropes. And then... I'm looking at him like, okay, so that's like 8-foot drop. That's interesting. Or whatever else. And then, like, he keeps lowering it before he actually didn't dumps it. I'm like, oh, so he's basically, like, taking a splash himself. And then the way Roman fell, which Roman can't control this, he falls and lands basically like he lands on, like, his knees and feet or whatever. So I'm like, oh, so he basically just, like, took a practice tumble off of the top ropes. I don't care. And that was a near fall drop, if you will.
It was like a 2-foot drop.
It was above the ring. It's like 5 because the ring ropes are 5. So yeah, it was a 5-foot drop. Whatever. But I mean, that's the drop that you take if you were like standing on top of the top rope and then you fell. So whatever. And I'm just like, that's lame. I don't know if that's whatever. Safety first, but that was lame. It was a waste of time. And then that's when he starts, with the nonsense trying to lift up
the ring around.
Yeah.
And then Roman stands up. The ring's like way the fuck in the air.
Yeah.
First he blasts the ring and moves it like, 10
Probably
feet
like
to the left
10
or
feet,
whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm just watching this. I'm like, so the whole point, I sent
you can also see like Graves or whoever it was. One of the color
jumped out the way.
You're like, you ain't finna kill me today, motherfucker. They're like, no, not happening.
I was like, man,
kill these fans, not me.
I was like, yo, the pairing of Brock and Roman has nothing left. Like, they've exhausted it all. And then this motherfucker hops on a tractor, and I was like, oh, that proves it for sure. Like, he's decided to use the machinery to make up for the fact that they have nothing else going on here. They've got to do these elaborate stunts, and it was something to see, right? But I saw this, I was like, I couldn't get into it wrestling wise. They had nothing for us. Like, and from there it devolves into NXT takeover, like deathmatch wrestling. To where like it's like the overindulgent stuff where it will never end. Like they just keep getting up at 9 on each other, and it was just like, can y'all end this fucking match already? And then there's like a million run-ins. Austin Theory comes out there. They're doing all this stuff to like swerve you to do whatever, and then it just ends in the lamest fashion possible. It kind of reminded me of like those Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly matches. When they were going 40 minutes. And
I mean, look,
bro, and it was just too much.
I thought those old matches were way better than this because those actually had involved some semblance of wrestling and didn't have a million run-ins and bullshit like a possible cash in stuff. And I didn't have to see it. I didn't have to see both Usos get dumped on their fucking heads, and I'm like horrified as if thinking about Big E. So I get what you're saying. I can't put myself in the mind frame of thinking like those are the same matches. But I will say this: like, imagine you book a ticket, or imagine you being a wrestling fan or WWE fan, whatever you're going to call it, and you book a ticket to Nashville, Tennessee for the weekend, and you buy yourself some $1,000, $1,500 ticket to sit at the ringside. And you're a fan of the big dog, right? Or you're a fan of the country boy, whatever you want, whichever one, whatever. Who gives a fuck? And you have paid room, board, and flight, and ticket, and all that kind of stuff for this weekend, for the third biggest show in pro wrestling of the year. And you get to the main event. The reason why you showed up, right? And in the middle of a 40-minute match, at like the 35-minute mark, however long the match went. Like, with basically like 10, 12 minutes left, a motherfucker raises the ring up at an angle, and you are now you are on floor seats too. You are in an obstructed view, and you, like a jackass, have to spend all that money, have to look up high and crank your neck up to look at the Titantron for the last 10 minutes of one of the biggest matches on the biggest shows of the year.
Amazing.
That fucking sucks.
That is a horrible experience, I would imagine.
Like, you spend all that money to be... I don't know why people do this, right? Like, personally, like, when I buy a ticket to a show, I'm trying to be on the same side as the camera so that I can see the camera's view because they're working towards that side. People like being on camera. People want to be famous. I don't or want to be seen. That's not famous. That's the wrong word. People want to be seen. That's the word they're going for. I don't want that shit, right? People pay that money to get on that side, and then once you get on that side, you spend all that money. They raise the fucking ring up, and now you can't see shit for the closing stretch of the match, the biggest show or the biggest match of the show. That fucking sucks. I understand it's a creative idea, whatever else, from the TV perspective, but the live audience suffered greatly from that one. That sucked.
This was a big spectacle. This was like it didn't work for me on that level, but people loved this thing.
Was it like 4.5 was a cage match? Something like that? Like 4.5.
I couldn't imagine giving this 4.5, but yes, I think it's like 8.5, 8.6, something like that.
Something like that. It's like 8.6.
And I'm like, no.
Same.
And they, like I said, at the end, they were like Brock and Roman. I think they got up like 4 times each for the 10 count.
You counted out that far?
Bro, I swear. Bro, I don't know the exact number, but it felt like at the end part when they were working on that little side of the ring, they each got up like 4 times. And Austin Theory's running out there, and it's just like he gets hoed completely. The Usos are getting dumped on his shit. Paul Heyman is getting slammed.
He got F5'd onto a table, which, like, look, I understand they have billed this as the last Roman and Brock match. I'll believe it when I don't see it for the rest of my life, whatever. But like Roman getting or Brock F5 and him, like there's nowhere else to go from other than put him in a shark cage or put him up on some scaffolding, right? Right? There's nothing else. Only other thing to do with him is put his ass up so high so the threat of him falling through or falling off. There's nothing else to do. So, like, if you were to believe them that this is it, they get a good enough job with Heyman to say, all right, this is it. There's no way they're doing anything more with Heyman.
So, they bury Brock just ends up buried a bunch of other shit, and then they just count.
It's the
they
last
count to 10
with him standing on top of shit that he's underneath, and it's like, how is that legal? Why would the ref count that? Why would the ref be able to count that? Like, you dumping shit on top of them and they can't get up? Fine. You standing on top of said shit, that shouldn't be able to go.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, but it ended really quickly, and it was just like it was over. Like, they just counted him out, and Roman Reigns standing on top of him, and then I'm like, wow, Roman Reigns wins again.
Black Shit Machine said the Usos carried out Paul like he was Bernie. I missed that. Once that match ended, I turned the shit off. I don't care about the finish or the celebration with pyro afterwards. I was like,
it's
over.
Like, it's Roman Reigns holding both belts in the camera. It's the same thing.
I'm just saying that I missed like the like, I guess there was the visual of Paul selling like the injury, because Paul after the table spot, the F5 table, Paul never moved the rest of the match.
Smart.
Right.
My job is done.
Yeah, I'm just saying I missed that part because I probably would have popped it in. Like, the idea of he's out here, oh my God, I'm fucking dead 20 minutes after an F5. Like, that's funny.
But yeah, Roman wins. I don't know where you go from here. I guess he's facing Drew McIntyre. Yeah, man. Triple H trick y'all is just Roman must pose. Shout out to Blue Haven. It's the same shit. Like I said, big spectacle. People say it's a very fun match. I watched it. I was bored through like a lot of it, and then I just watched all the shit happening. I'm like, they are going so far to try to make this epic, and it's just not gonna fly for me.
I don't know what I'd rate it. Because one, like, it's hard. It is a pro wrestling match, yet it certainly was not a pro wrestling match. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always struggle with like matches like this whether it's like Stadium Stampede or whatever nonsense match that that people are coming up with to Blade or whatever else. So like, I always struggle with that kind of stuff. I don't know, man. It wasn't bad. It went long. There were times where I felt bored while watching it. At times it felt repetitive when like. One of the near falls was Roman, runs a running belt shot, and then Brock gets it. And then he's like, all right, I got the answer. I'll use the other belt and that'll work. It's like, do you think one's made out of like cotton candy and the other one's made out of titanium? Both of them, neither one, put that shit down. This shit ain't gonna work. I don't know, man. Like, it was fine. Was it worth the time that it went? Absolutely not.
Yeah,
so,
they could have wrapped
that's kind of where I'm on it. Like, I don't really have a rating. I dread saying this. I would have to watch it again to give it a rating, which means which means it ain't never getting a rating for me. I ain't watching this shit ever again. Hell no. Are you kidding me?
Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair. This opened the show. Bianca came out tasseled, ready to team with Matt and Nick. Becky came out. I think she was in some type of orange getup. If I remember right, orange and red or something like that.
It was various colors of orange and red and yellow. It was very SummerSlam colory. Yeah.
Yep. So they came out. It was still like daylight during all this, so this was pretty cool. They worked really hard in this match. I thought this was cool. This was Bianca. Just watching them, I'm just like in awe of her, and just seeing all the abilities that she has, strength wise, speed wise, moving side to side, which is a not really talked about aspect of
lateral quickness.
Yes, of wrestling, because a lot of people just move in straight lines and shit like that, and forward, backward, but the side is, or avoiding people. Like, she's got a combo, I think, unlike any woman in this country's history, like, personally. And I thought she was excellent in this match. She really, this kind of felt like a good John Cena match for me. Like, and this felt like a good John Cena
reverse
match.
Like a crossbody?
Yeah, like, I was like, man, that's like, that feels like it's Cena. Like, and I thought it was great. And I saw this match and I was like, damn, like, they were creative down towards the end. There was a little bit of sloppiness, but it was like, it wasn't enough to throw things off. But I thought this was a really good match. I'd probably go like 4 stars on it. I think that it was much needed closure, because despite the fact that we were supposed to act like she didn't already beat her at WrestleMania, SummerSlam was the place last year that they did all this shit, and they wanted to make it like a nice round number. After that, she basically gives her the KOD, pins Becky. After that, they shake hands and all that, and then the person who carried the industry.
Wait. Wasn't the finish like Becky was going for like a second rope manhandle slam? It gets turned into a second rope Spanish fly, and then the Spanish fly transitions into the KOD, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then the
real
person...
quick, let me get my 2 cents in here. Yeah. I thought the first half of this match was all right, and then like the last half of the match was like really great, and like I'm with you, I probably give it 4 flat. I think that it's in a weird way it kind of has the same thing, even though like Becky had an injury in this match. Like, it reminded me a lot of their match at WrestleMania, except the match at WrestleMania was just better. Like, it took, like, instead of it taking half of the time to get into gear, like, it took like the first third of that match to get into gear. This one took a whole half of the match to get into gear. But yeah, so like I gave that match 4.25. I give this match 4. But either way, great match between another great match between these two. And like, for all the people that have said shit about Becky Lynch and like they don't think she's actually a good worker, is like all this woman has done since she came back from dropping an album is have good ass big matches. So like,
she better than Charlotte at this point?
Of late or over their careers?
I would say of late. Like,
of late, absolutely.
Like, I guess since she dropped the album.
Absolutely. Like, Charlotte has one great match to her name this year, I think, and that's a match with Naomi, and I gave that 4 stars. But, like, Charlotte has been a fucking mess in the ring the last, like, almost 2 years, year and a half, something like that. Like, just, like, her bust rate is, like, just, like, shocking for somebody that, like, has been as good as she has been, like, for, like, probably since 2014.
Hold on. Jeannie Buss's Twitter got hacked. What happened? Please let me know in the comments.
So, yeah, like, I just, like, Beck, I think that,
no, not the PS5. Not that one. Y'all playing, right?
So, I don't know what to do with the Jeannie Buss got hack thing, but I just think like over the last with Becky anyway, like I think that she has answered a lot of critics that were like really hard on her at like post WrestleMania 35 and everything, and like she came back and like she is, I feel like she shut up a lot of people. I really do. Now, I guess now we can move on to the post-match stuff.
So the person who carried the industry's music hit, her unrecognizable music.
They popped for it. They did pop for it.
They did. I heard, and I was just like, "This is soul crushing." Like that. Oh, it's just like, bro, what did they got to do to get her some new music?
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Seth music before the music he just got with the chance thing that you can do, because it's like when he was like the cult leader. Like it's the same thing. Like, is this just generic like placeholder music? It is like Bayley never got her placeholder music, or never got moved on for placeholder music. This is what she has now, and it's like, this sucks.
Yep. She comes out. She wearing white.
Takes the ring because it's big ass entrance.
Yep. And then after that, Dakota Kai comes out.
Oh, sorry. We forgot the whole part. Becky, I didn't know she separated her shoulder at the time. Becky at the end was like, "This is the better woman." Whatever. She cut my hair. We went through all this shit the last, year or whatever else. But like, she's a better woman. I have been bested. Something that, like, this is also another part when you talk about the Charlotte stuff. This is something that Charlotte would never fucking do. But I have been bested. I have been beaten. Whatever. I couldn't pop. And she shakes Bianca's hand, and like Bianca makes his face like. She made the face like this when Sting used to say like, "If you screw me, I'm going to get you." And she was like, "You better not. You better not fuck me when I shake your hand." And she shook her hand, and like you can see Becky, like Bianca, like really wanted to embrace her, and it was really cool. And then like Becky left the ring, and she went out towards the scorekeeper or the time keeper's table exit to get out. And then Bayley's music hits.
Yes. Bayley's out there. Everyone's happy to see her. She's talking a bunch of shit. Can't really hear what she's saying. But then Dakota Kai's music hits, and it's like, hold on, what's she doing here? And then, of course, Graves has to drop the line, "I didn't think she was under WWE contract." It's like, then why is she here, Corey Graves? She came out looking like Sindel. Like she's got the two different colors. Yes, she's got the two different colors hairs. It's like, okay, she's here, and all of a sudden you start hearing that alarm and that 808, and it's like, oh, Io's here. So Io comes out, and Io is dancing like a jug in the entrance. Saw her, and I was like, oh, Io's here. And then like they're like Io Sky. So and they've changed her name to IYO Sky. I see this, and I'm like, well, Io Shirai stuck in WWE. Great. So whatever.
She did. Look, I know a lot of people got themselves excited that the possibility that she was going to return to Stardom or whatever else. I mean, it felt like she had been out for so long, and like Stardom is so different than it was now. And like, if she were to come back and be like an everyday wrestler and not like a part-time wrestler, like how Kyrie just does like pay-per-view tags, I don't know how that's going to go, because like she has never been in Stardom and wasn't like the ace. So like, if she comes back, like, while the locker room has that respect for her, the company is in such a different space where like, they have fans that are like, that don't really have any attachment, or maybe you don't even know who Io or Kyrie is until Kyrie just came back. So it's like, you have to reintroduce her, and it's also like, all right, so what does that mean for your 3-year plan, if you will, right? Like, throw that shit out the window if Io shows up, but it's like, then you have to like do so much stuff to get her reestablished and over with this crowd and this new fan base that you never had before. Like, so it's not, I'm not heartbroken. I would love to see another her and Mayu match, or her or Thunder Rock reuniting, or three of them being back together. I would love nothing more than they had that. I might even, look, right now I'm on my phone, or like I'm on my Twitter account, like I got Bun B, Pimp C, Big Boy, and Andre from International Players Club, like, as my header. I've had that shit for years. That might come down if three of them ever reunites, right? It might come down to put up, yes, I'll turn it to that. I finally turned it and reached my final form as the Joshi fan that has headers for other Joshi on it. I might complete the transformation finally. But that being said, like, I'm not broke up or whatever else, because like Io didn't seem like she really wanted to leave. She just wanted to be on the main roster, and they never wanted to put her on the main roster. Now the person that wanted to put her on the main roster is in charge. She be on the main roster. So she got what she wanted. I'm happy for her.
So these three are together, kind of in a group. The
new freedom.
Yeah. They walk over, to the ring there, and they just stare down Bianca, and then Becky gets in, and they're face to face, and they all just stare at each other some more, and stare, and nothing happens, and then whatever. But this whole thing was about sending a message. Like, they wanted to do an angle to open up SummerSlam to have people go crazy, and man, Triple H got them. Like, these people were starving. Like, the way they acting online, like, it's unbecoming right now. What they doing? It's not even the fans I'm talking about. It's the wrestling media. My God, wipe the side of your mouths, please. It's bad. But yeah. But aside from that, I heard good reviews from Logan Paul's performance. I saw like a little GIF clip going around where Miz is actually in all the right spots, kind of, and Logan Paul is doing his thing. Heard that went over well.
Look here, man. They did this match, and people want to give credit to The Miz for being in all the right spots and doing everything that a motherfucker that has been on professional wrestling television for over a decade should be able to do as a prerequisite to be able to be on fucking pro wrestling television. So whatever. Y'all want to, the bar is that fucking low for this person, fine, whatever. Logan Paul went out there and did everything about as well as you can conceivably ask him to do, except for do a decent looking phenomenal forearm. But like, we're comparing him to doing AJ Styles' move, and AJ Styles is like maybe the most like deft and agile pro wrestler I may have ever seen. So we'll give him that. We'll cut him that slack, right? He threw great strikes. He threw great punches, which is hard to fucking do, throwing good work punches. And I don't mean like he's throwing like the Steve Austin, Lawler, Jarrett, shitty, throw them shits from below your belt buckle, swinging them shits, punches like a carny. I mean, like, them shits actually like they hurt, like he's stiffing people. I don't think he was. I'm saying they look like effective strikes. So he's doing that. His flying is very well. He did, the end of the match was he ends up doing he ends up putting Miz on the announce table, and he does the Shane McMahon spot, except it's not an elbow drop that misses by 2 feet and then the camera has to cover it. He hits him with a Dante Martin, Montez Ford, Seth Rollins frog splash that will not need to be edited in post and fixed to make it look like he connected. He landed on that man perfectly and collapsed the table. And I gotta say, like, I really enjoyed this, but what I do appreciate is like the part where like we can move on, like with Bad Bunny and Ronda Rousey and Logan Paul and even McAfee, even though McAfee's like match he had later in the show was rough. We can move on from this idea that you have to like have all this experience and do X, Y, and Z and blah, 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 blah to have a good wrestling match or whatever else. If you remove the guardrails and you are a good athlete, you should be able to excel at this if you give a fuck. And clearly Logan Paul is somebody that is a good athlete and gives a fuck. And maybe from the idea of him doing the fight stuff before, his brother doing the fight stuff before, he's picked up some ideas on how to sell fights through pro wrestling and knows how to not speed himself up, and maybe that's what some of the training from the PC on how to fill that kind of stuff up and sell, because they definitely like to tell people to slow down. So he was able to do that. He just like whatever. But he looked very good. I'm not saying he needs to show up at the 5-star Grand Prix next year. I'm not saying that. I'm saying he looked good in the matches he's been in and impressive in a way to wow you. And it's like all this stuff we've heard over the years about X, Y, and Z and wrestlers being in da-da-da-da-da. It's like, what about this? What about these? What about those? So this is going to be one of the matches. This is going to be one of the matches.
Strap Logan Paul up.
This is going to be one of the matches where, when Vince was out here saying we can just get actors to be pro wrestlers, this is what he was thinking about. But he didn't realize people want to see people flying around. He just wanted to see. He thought people wanted to see, people sell and show emotion and hit big power moves. Like, no, fool. You want to see people be athletic, and Logan Paul is athletic.
Look at Logan Paul being an RLPWer. It just never fails. It always works.
Sort of.
It always works. Moves, baby.
I don't think he's Saya Kamatani necessarily, but he does his fair share of jumping off of shit.
Strap him up. At some point, why not?
Well,
I'd love to see it.
I think this is his first time not getting booed. Because remember, they hated him, and they basically they had Miz turn on him at WrestleMania, and Miz got over somehow because they hate that dude so much. So I think it's the first time he wasn't getting booed. So I don't know which way they're going to go with this, but this was a success. If the idea was we want him cheered and we want Miz booed, this was an absolute success. They did a thing with
Brewhaven says, give Paul the Dragon Gate 6-man from Supercard of Honor 2006. That was great.
You want to get that
man a copy of Super J Cup 94. But see, you gonna do all this shit here,
But yeah, this was a success. This was, we'll get into it in a second, but this was definitely better than the McAfee match, definitely. But as far as people giving that praise to the Miz, it's what's the point? Why? This match was if you want to say okay, someone had to lay this match out with him, I guess. But we ain't never seen a match with Miz that involved this kind of layout of fun stuff. So I don't know where you get at coming up with that one outside of the Ciampa stuff and the Marie stuff and the finish.
There is a forever crusade that is going on to legitimize the Miz as this person,
as a worker
that has been on their screen for 20 years. They have to defend that. All the hours that they've spent watching him wasn't for no reason. He's actually really good. There's a lot of that energy on that.
He's not, but that's not even the point of the Miz. That's not what the point. Miz wants to do this shit. He wants to wrestle the celebrities or whatever else. He finds that to be more entertaining. His idea wasn't to come out here and go hole for hole like he's fucking Ricky Steamboat or Pete Dunne. That never was a thing with him. I don't know. So you guys giving him this props, he don't care about that shit. If you want to get props about he's a great character, a great talker, that's shit he actually cares about because look at what he's good at.
It's funny. So what we have next?
I don't have the card up, but I think after that was the Lashley match. Lashley, the U.S. title match was Theory.
Yeah, a squish.
Yeah, it's a 5-minute squash. Theory survives the onslaught by hitting a couple rolling moves, he hits a roll-in DDT. Basically finishes his matches. He tries one last roll-in, and when he goes for a rolling cutter, Lashley picks him up in a military press slam, a military press position, and basically drops him down and then puts him into a hurt lock, and he has to tap immediately. But I will say this, before the match, Lashley's interest was basically at that junction, at the crosswalk, or in the at the aisle, they put him on this pedestal thing, and this is right at sunset, so it's starting to get just a little dark. So they have him on there, and he's basically he's flexing and or whatever else, and then he does his pose with the arms folded, and then he does the the point, and then the pyro goes off, and I was like, this man looks like a black superhero. This is fucking awesome. I gotta say, this shit looks fucking awesome. Like, he looked like a goddamn star. Like, you know, we always say something about Lashley, like, we're glad that Lashley gets pushed. He always works hard, blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't really find him ultimately that compelling outside of what he has other people say for him or whatever else. But, like, if you want someone like a star, look no, people, you know, star performers and people looking like stars, whatever else, look no further than they put that man on a fucking pedestal in front of 30,000 people on one half of a stadium. No, that's on the side of the stadium you saw, and pyro went off. It looked fantastic. So, yeah.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yes. It has to be a GIF. That shit was too memorable to not be a GIF or a meme somewhere, or a video of it. Gotta be. So, I'm trying to think, what else was
Mysterios.
So, okay, so, it's what's Judgment Day's name of the faction with Rhea and Finn,
indeed,
and Damian Priest. So it is Finn and Priest versus. They're called the Mysterios. I was disappointed. Not Los Mysterios. Are you serious? Whatever. Neither here nor there. But the Mysterios come down, and they have what is like 95% a regular rules 2v2 tag match. And it's a no DQ tag match. So people start getting annoyed and they're like, we want tables because it's a no DQ match, but you're working this straight laced, like it's a regular fucking match you would see in a regular rule setting. So at one point, somebody brings out a table, or not a table, but a chair. Ray gets the chair back, and then Ray, you know how he'll do like the baseball slide underneath the bottom rope splash onto somebody?
Yeah.
He did that with the chair on the Finn Balor. I was like, oh my God, it has to hurt for both of them so bad. Because Finn has to catch it, and then Ray has to like try to like land this thing without like jamming up his wrist or breaking a wrist or anything stupid. And it seemed like they were able to make that happen, which, you know, I don't know. But like Ray had got a hot tag, and you know, Ray, you know, was Ray just fucking awesome still. You know, Dominic, he was there, and like it was funny because beginning of the match, like Balor was chopping him and you know, Dominic, he has like the bodysuit with like the chest protector deals on. It was like you're chopping a dude with a chest protector on. That's stupid. Finn, you're dumb. What are you doing? But whatever. Like Rhea is about to finally make a play after sitting out there, basically being like 2022 China. Just out there, just, you know. But anyway, she, as she's about to do something, music hits, they go to an entrance, there's a crazy entrance, you see fire, and I was like, is this Edge? Edge comes up, he's wearing a raw-looking red, leather jacket, he has a black shirt with red, coloring on it, and Rich, this is, forget that Tam Nakano shirt from like a month ago. This is a devil shirt. There is, you know, I say it's a devil shirt. There's an actual demon on the shirt, Rich. He has the glasses on. You know, he always has them teeth. He's always the hair's cut short. You know, like the music wasn't exactly the Brood music, but it sounded like the Brood music. I sound like I'm Baltimore. The Brood music, but the Brood music came on or whatever else, and he walks down this fiery staircase, and then like he goes running towards the ring, but he's at the main entrance, and it's a long ass entrance, so people is like coming around and out, and when he comes, so Damian Priest tries to meet him. He basically gives him a running big boot, runs to the ring, gives Finn Balor a big boot. Priest by that point in time got back and followed him back into the ring. So like after he gives Balor that spear, he turns around and Priest has now got back into the ring. He ducks under an attack from Priest, comes off the ropes. Priest came off the opposite ropes, and he gives him a running spear. And then Ray hits I think it's a 619 and hits the dime drop or whatever else he gets to win. But like, yeah, like it was just a regular rules match for almost 95% of it. There's very little usage of any weapons or cheating or whatever else. And the crowd like sat on their hands because they wanted weapons or cheating or some DQ element in a no DQ match. What a shocking concept. Who could have foreseen that they were not going to love a no DQ match being treated like a regular rules match? Who could have foreseen that?
Dom is a luchador, in quotes, but moves in slow motion, according to Black Sabre Jr.
I think that Dominic isn't good, but I also think that like the way people slander him is a bit overstated. I think it's unnecessary. Like, but I do get like if you were to say like, bruh, you ain't nearly as good as your daddy and left it at that, I think it's fine. But the way people talk about him, like, as if like he should like quit the business, is I'm like, yo, relax. Like, I feel like y'all are just being like way too harsh on this dude. But whatever. Like, if you're the GOAT's daddy, then you should have some GOAT tendency. Like, look, man, I don't see people going out here killing Marcus Jordan like this. I just don't. So I'm kind of like, why are y'all being so ruthless on this kid?
Well, I think the deal with Marcus Jordan is like the job has already been done. Like, job finished on that.
Oh, I meant back then. Like when they were at like, what were they? Did one of them go to UCF?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't recall anybody like, hey kid, you suck. You're nothing like your dad. Like people do this to him all the time. I'm like, yo, y'all are too rough. I know there was on social media that maybe it would have happened. I don't know.
Look how they be going after Bronny. You'll see it.
Bronny will get it bad because Bronny's 6'2". And everyone, Bronny's 6'2".
And the thing is, people have tried to hype him up as this prospect when he is not.
He's like the 30th best dude in his class, which means like that's not a person you expect to just make it to the league, especially, and there's damn sure ain't nobody that's going to be coming out of high school either.
So we also had McAfee and Corbin.
Okay, so McAfee and Corbin,
former Indianapolis Colt, Pat McAfee.
So yeah, I mean, so was Corbin. So Corbin comes down. He's wearing Colts colors because, of course, AFC South rivalry. So I don't know if people noticed that or not, but like he came out, they didn't care. And then, like, he is halfway down. Yeah, he is halfway down at that junction point I keep talking about on this aisle. And all of a sudden, like, a spotlight comes on in the backdrop, like, in one of the sections in the crowd, and it's like a male choir, and they start singing like "Bum Ass Corbin," like "Bum Ass Corbin," like some stuff, shit like that, whatever, right? So then they go into singing. And I'm like,
this is not the concert choir for Judas, it sounds like.
Right. So then all of a sudden, like, I'm like, wait a second. Like, this sounds like some weird version of, like, Seven Nation Army. But it's not Seven Nation Army. And then they play his new music. And it's like, how do we make Seven Nation Army without, like, having to pay them any rights or get sued? And it's such a gigantic steep drop off from WrestleMania to this. Like, it was just a letdown. He comes out and then like they do the match and they do the routine stuff that of flipping and flying that McAfee does, whatever else, where he gets pushed off the top rope. He moonsaults and lands on his feet in the middle of the ring. He then goes to run up on run and jump and land on the top ropes and then give like a, some type of, superplex, I think, or whatever else. But the thing is, like, he's fucking all this stuff up. Like, he goes to do the jump to get onto the top rope, but he like ends up landing on his ankles and Corbin has to luckily hold him up or whatever else so he can get back in place, get his feet back in place. He goes for a code red at one point, but it turns to a sunset flip. He almost kills himself on a floor dive where he does basically like he does a front flip dive, I think. Yeah, and like, I don't know what the fuck he was thinking. He landed on his head bounced like a basketball on back of his head bounced like a basketball on the floor. That had to suck. But yeah, like, this was his worst performance of all the gymnastics he does in between because he doesn't really know how to wrestle. So it exposed like all the stuff that people were worried about and all this stuff. Like, you did all this and it's like, no man, like all the shit, smoke and mirrors, and like he's in there with Adam Cole and they can work around all that stuff and make a fun match. But when it's come down to 2-on-2, and also he's in there with someone that's not that talented, it starts getting it fell apart in this one. So yeah, whatever. Like E for effort, but nah, man. Like 2.5 or whatever. So whatever.
So I don't think this was this game changing show that I think people were talking on Twitter like it was, but it was cool. Like, you know,
it comes down to taste. Like if you like the WWE main events where they blow, the ring may collapse, the barricade may get broke in, a table's gonna get crashed through, like all the stuff, all the stops they break out in all these WrestleMania or pay-per-view main event stuff that they do in pay-per-views, that they've done with Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns or whoever else over the years. If you enjoyed the hell out of the main event, I'm sure you think like this was a really good show, whatever else. I think that the wrestling on this show was, for the most part, good, but just good. And like for, I think it's like 80 minutes of ring time over a 3.5 hour show. I thought the timing and the pacing was atrocious. I keep fucking with the word atrocious. I'm gonna say abysmal and move on. And yeah, like whatever. I thought it was a good show. And that was the end of it. Like, but I'm not about that. Like, this was, a world sea of change. Like, nah, man. Like, AEW has all but like maybe like one pay-per-view that wasn't better than this, easily. So, whatever. But that's the thing. Like, the bar is so much lower for them because they have the 40-year, head start.
They've got a lot.
Like, this is one of the things, like if Stardom put on a pay-per-view like this, I'd be fucking devastated. I spent $50 on this? What the fuck's going on? Like, you see what the next pay-per-view card is. There's not a chance the pay-per-view will be at that level. It'll be way better than this. Unless unless everybody breaks, have lower half injuries in every single match.
I think we're kind of strapped for time, so we're gonna kick the Ric Flair last show.
I watched 2 matches.
Yeah, we're gonna kick that down the road in the Discord. I'll go ahead and give my thoughts on that one if you guys want to log in. But James, hit the music.
All right, so they done did it again. Last year, you weren't on the show when the first opening weekend of 5-Star Grand Prix happened, but I remember it happening, being just blown away, super impressed. I thought that from what I saw Stardom, that like they had 2 of their like 4 or 5 best shows I ever saw them have. Both of them back-to-back nights on night 1 and 2 of the Grand Prix. And I was like, not only did they both have like each 3 4-star matches, they also had like a number of matches that were like over 3.5, very good matches. And I was like, this is crazy. This shit felt like I was watching the G1. Like the old G1, not like the G1 we get now, like the old G1. So this year, they basically did the same thing. They had Kyrie tag matches with two people that she has history with and connections with, and added to that card. And these shows were basically like the same level of quality, maybe even a little bit deeper than the opening weekend from last year. And still super impressed. Tons of 4-star matches, tons of 4.5-star matches. Almost all the matches are good to speak of. So like I don't know where you wanted to start, but I thought this was a fantastic weekend for Stardom again. I thought these were 2 of the 6 best shows I've seen so far this year.
I saw day 1 in its entirety. I did not see day 2 yet, but just overall, like day 1, it was just like lightning. The 15-minute time limit is just amazing. they're in and out, and is like you can watch it and just, you know, I wasn't really watching this to analyze like what star rating was on what match. Everything was just like really good, I would say. And there was some upsets. There was, you know, for day one, there was like
that continued into day two, by the way.
Yeah, it was just like a lot of like establishing people like that. You know, I wasn't necessarily familiar with Ami. This is the second time I'm seeing Saki. Mai Sakurai and Momo Kogo, I thought I had an interesting take on this. Like I was watching it and I was like, man, I don't think the level of wrestling was necessarily that different from Bianca and Becky, except Bianca and Becky obviously had the extended finishing sequence and like longer match. And I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like the closing stretch, like Ami and Kogo could not do that. We're not saying that it was as good. We're just saying like first 5 minutes versus first 5 minutes, or first 6 minutes versus first 6 minutes. Like it's comparable. It's just obviously like bigger stage, bigger stars, more experience, better athletes. And then like, but as far as like the work and the pacing,
like coming
Stardom
off
had it in their favor.
Yeah, like just doing athletic shit. Like I think that they were pretty good. I was missing Suzuki on this night, but
Starlight Kid,
yeah. I really like this show, so I guess we can try to get through this. I know we're running.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go. Look, my brain's mush right now. I'm not gonna go through any long rundown. I can give you the results and talk about like what we thought of the match after that. I'm not gonna go through them. Pull out the notes. I didn't write down notes, but the pre-show, they had a pre-show before they got to open ceremony. The pre-show was a 5-person gauntlet match. So they had hold on, wrong day. So they had Araka versus Rina, Araka and Rina versus Hina and Amasaki, and Rina caught Hina with a backslide and then flipped over into a jackknife cover, got the win. So then the next people out to face Rock and Rina or Amasaki and Koguma. Koguma and Hannon. And Koguma ended up catching Rina with a Kuma roll. And the outcome, Tam and Nasapoi. And Rich, you'd have been sick from this weekend of Nasapoi. You would have been sick. You would have been sick. So they come out, they do the Cosmic Angels music, they dance, and then like they're up on the entrance, and it's a big elaborate entrance. This is the entrance for the opening ceremony, so there's like big enough to fit 26 people on that stage. So all of a sudden they zoom in on Tam and Nasapoi, and all of a sudden you see Hannon and Koguma have came from the ring and walked up to the entrance and have jumped them and attacked them. So they end up getting Tam in the ring with Hannon. Tam ends up beating Hannon with a bridging suplex. Then outcome Momo and Saki. So is Natsupoi in there. Natsupoi ends up beating Saki with a rolling Lamahai straw cradle. And then the last team comes out, another Oedo Tai team, Death and
Starlight Kid.
Yeah, Death and Starlight Kid. And Natsupoi ends up pinning, finishing off Death with her burial gift. So I get his 3 stars. I thought this was after Natsupoi joined Cosmic Angels. They did a main event on one of those Imperial Tours shows with Tam and Natsupoi versus Mayu and Koguma, and Poi ended up pinning Koguma. Then when Koguma and Hazuki won their title defense against Mai and Mirai, they said they wanted to challenge Tam and Natsupoi. So like they already pinned the champion. The champions want to avenge a tag loss. They challenged this new tag team. Tag team goes in a 5-person gauntlet and wins 3 matches in a row to continue their momentum or whatever else. And they're going to meet on the 21st. I thought this was standard, good booking. So then you get to the main card. Yuji Nagata's on announcing. So yes, that's how he signed off too. He goes 3, 2, 1. And like Natsupoi and everybody else did it too. It was funny. So they do this opening ceremony. This year they didn't do like everybody in their gear. They had everybody in kimonos and they came out as a faction. So like they bring out Cosmic Angels first. Then I think next was like faction by faction by faction. Second to last faction was Stars. Last faction was Gazai. And as they're doing, they're basically going by like almost like ranking the wrestlers, but basically like the faction leaders or the last people from each faction that gets their name announced, and they basically walk down to their marker. So like they ended with the last year's champion Shuri, and Shuri just sitting there just looking so just proud of what she's accomplished over the last year, and I'm sitting there looking proud of her, just like you're just fucking the fucking best. Can't wait till you beat these bitches' asses in this match in this tournament again. I can't wait. So anyway. So then they sign off and it was fun and it's cool to see like all the factions, like they all kind of had like their own individualized gear, but like it all fits like the motif of the particular faction. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was cool. They all look like, they all dress well except for like Oedo Tai, but the Oedo Tai don't care, so whatever.
Indeed. Yeah,
so then you get to the Amasaki. I'm sorry, the Mai
Sakurai and Momokogo.
Yeah, you went over it. It's a decent match. It's like
I liked it.
Yeah, you liked it a lot more than I did. When you gave me the star rating, I was like, ooh, you liked it a lot more than I did. What do you end up giving it?
I think I gave it 3.5.
Yeah, I gave it like I gave it 2 3/4. You like this shit way more than me.
Yeah, I thought it was in there. They was in there moving. Like,
yeah, it wasn't like it was bad. I can see the case for 3. You was really feeling this one. Maybe it's expectation levels. I don't know, whatever. But at the end, Mai ends up beating Kogo with a sit out face buster. So I think at this point they announced it like they're going to do a pay per view on. I think it's November 3rd in Hiroshima. So that's cool. They already had the 11th is when they do the joint show with New Japan Pro Wrestling.
It looked like it was for some tag team event or something, but I don't know.
Yeah, they also announced like when the start of Tag League is. They also did that. Maybe I'm getting the dates wrong, but like they definitely announced that they're doing a pay per view in Hiroshima, and they're also announced like when they're going to do Tag League. I know that for sure. So then you get Ida and Ami, and I mean, he messaged me saying like you saw that you saw her interest, like Ida's interest. It says muscle in the background. And he took a picture of her as she flexes and says muscle in the background. It's like just a dumb jock wrestler energy off that this woman gives off. It's just fantastic. So they get in the ring, they just start trading off big ass chops and start selling and roaring at each other, and that was fun. I don't remember much about this match outside of like thinking that like Ida looked damn good, and then like Ami ended up finishing her with a spinning brainbuster.
Yeah, this was cool too. Not much more to add.
Yeah, I gave this 3.25. Next match you get Unagi versus All Cap Saki. And this match is basically like we're just gonna trade big boots until somebody breaks.
Bro, I texted you. I was like, yo, we're going to boot each other in the face until someone dies. Yeah. And like this oddly kind of reminds me of like Kota Ibushi and Taichi when they just decide to kick each other's legs the whole time. And I was like, what the fuck? Like what made them want to do this? But whatever. It stood out. It was different than everyone else. And I liked it.
Yeah. So. I like this too. It ran its course about a minute early, but like I still end up giving this 3.25. I enjoyed it. All Cap Saki ended up winning with a basically a running, spinning brain buster that she calls a Kawaii Buster. A Kawild Buster. Next match, and this is like where the business picks up on this card. You end up getting you know, getting Risa, Sarah versus Micah, and like
they
they
was in there thumping.
Yeah, they started on the outside, and I was like, this is like. It was almost like Risa Sarah was trolling you, that you were like, you're going to get like the bad Risa Sarah performance, like by the outside stuff. And the setting in the back of the ring, it was like, gotcha, bomb throwing going on, and you know, big gigantic trays of gigantic elbows to each other's chests and sternum. You know, big moves. Like Risa does this thing where she hits. She has like what do you call it? A Boston Crab, but like she doesn't like hook the leg. She just leaves it open, and then at any given moment, like she'll just basically like deadlift someone up and then just buckle bomb them into the corner. It looks awesome. She also has this awesome. She also has an awesome like air raid crash, or whatever else, and like it just looks like she whips somebody around and grabs them, and drops them all in like one fluid motion. It just looks devastating. But yeah, like this was a very good match. And at the end, Risa ended up beating Micah with a diving double knee stomp, or diving double knee drop. And like they had been teasing the tension of you know them when they fought at Sumo Hall and back in March, when it was like the first prominence match. It was Risa and Suzu versus Tekla, and Risa were like, that's the match where like when Suzu ended up hitting Tekla with that dolphin buster off the second rope. Like they've been added. Risa and Mike have been added, like making Hoss eyes at each other like for months. So like they finally got in here and they thumped, and it was fun. They were hitting the big moves, kicking out at one. It happened more than once.
Yeah,
it was
did
fun.
it like 4 times in a row or some shit like that.
Yeah, like two and two. Yeah, like big move, kick out at one, hit you with a big move, kick out at one, back and back, and then like eventually they start, you know, hitting those big moves and kicking out at you know, for near falls, and then ultimately Micah ended up getting put down. But like this was fun, and it was like, hey, similar to Roosh, like this is money time, so I'm gonna show up and have good ass matches now. So that was fun. So then you know, getting to Azumi versus Shuri, and this was like, they have this is their 5th match, and like and every time Shuri in the tournaments has gotten caught, because like she ends up trying to wrestle Azumi's game, and you can't out rap E40, and you can't out high speed Azumi. And this time, like, Shuri was like, I'm not falling for this shit again. You're not gonna get me in this trap. Like, you're always gonna be faster than me and quicker than me or whatever else, get in and out of stuff faster than me, but like, you are a fly, and eventually I'm gonna bring out this fly swatter. I'm gonna knock your ass against the wall. And it kept happening, and then Azumi would get herself off the wall every so often with big kicks and get a chance to try to, you know, put Shuri in arm bars or else. But like, this match was very good, and like it was a match where like they knew each other's tricks and have had this in like almost like trilogy wrestling, where like this is the 3rd match we're doing counters on counters, and it was fun. I gave this 4 1/4. I loved this match. I thought they were both fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit. I think their match last year was better because it got more time.
In the Grand Prix or the title
Grand
defense
Prix
they had. Okay,
the Grand Prix. And that shit was like I think this was a little bit worse than that, but this was still excellent. This was Azumi jumping off like the beginning, like starting up behind her, thinking it was going to be introductions. Nah, fuck that. Azumi's just going to take it straight to her.
Azumi gave like a diving double foot stomp to her off the second rope onto Shuri, who's on the floor. Yeah,
I'll probably say 4 on this, and I thought. Yeah, it was just great. Like, it's just, I love seeing these two work together, because Azumi is like, it's like, this is going to be the story of the tournament. Like, people are trying to run the clock out on Azumi. You're only going to be able to beat her for so much longer before she starts figuring all this shit out.
Yeah, I also think, like, there's this thing where, like, when Azumi gets the big upset over Shuri, like, that just bumps it up a quarter star. I think that's what it is. It's like, people, like, the idea of, like, people really like her. People understand that she's like a prodigy, and like she gets that big win. It's like a bigger deal than when like, oh, okay, like a person that should be a champion or is the champion is going to beat the lower person. Like it's like I think it was someone was talking about like the mask versus belt match for Ray versus Eddie, where it's like you could put it on, you could have Eddie just deep unmask Ray, but like you get like the match is going to be remembered more fondly of if the upset happens. I think it's kind of like that. Obviously, this match isn't that level of great, but you get my point. Like, it's a great match, and like it would have been made even more great if the upset was pulled. But there were so many upsets on this show where you just can't give everybody upset. So, then you get to the
pretty much the rest of the show.
Yeah, you get to the Kairi and Nanae Takahashi versus Kamatani and Lady C. And go ahead, Rich. What were your thoughts on this match?
I saw them come out on the bikes, and I found it quite humorous. I wanted to immediately like hit mute on the video and put rolling on it. I did not do that, but I watched the match. I thought it was, I'm trying to understand the get down of Kairi right now. Is it? She's back for, is she trying to restore the feeling in Stardom, like to basically, say all this shit's off now, or I don't know what it is, and she's bringing back her big homie Nanae and is like, yo, this is how we used to do it or whatever. And then, Queen's Quest came out and it was like, yo, this is a big match for them, and these are our people now. I thought this was an awesome match. Lady C shows no fear. Lady C will not be hoed out here by Nanae Takahashi. They ended up losing, but that's kind of the game on this. And I thought this was awesome. Like, and then like I was kind of more interested in the post match though. Okay, so my thoughts on the match is I thought the match was very good. I'm giving this 3 3/4. There's been this thing, or it happens, where like people that watch Joshi longer than us, or watch Puro longer than us, like they're aware that like the older wrestlers still function under the I don't want to put anybody over, I'm not going to sell people shit phase, and like they hate these people. And like when I watch people's commentary on Nanae Takahashi and Stardom, like I'm very aware of like they hate her guts, or a lot of them do hate her guts, or think less of her than think less of her than her actual skill level. And so like, I take it with a grain of salt, but like, I'm watching this match and I'm watching, Nanae sell for Lady C, and I'm just like, what are they going to complain about next? So like, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know how to handle, but like, cause like, whatever, I don't know. But, I thought this was a very good match, and I thought that Kamatani and Kairi have very good chemistry, and like I'm interested to see what their match is going to look like, because they're going to have a match on the next pay-per-view on the 21st of August. And Nanae, she ends up winning with the top rope splash, and she ends up calling out Shuri, and she wants a red belt match, and like that is a match that like, if I were to say matches that I would most want to see Shuri have, while she still has a red belt, that would be one of them. That would be one of the top 5 matches I can think of in the whole Joshi world of Nanae versus her. Like if people like the match, people really love the matches that she had. The red belt match she's had with Utami, and like because of the level of violence in bomb throwing, and like quite frankly, like. Before Nanae's ankle injury, she was at a higher level with this than Utami was. Has she reached that level since then? No. But I do recall the last real like killer match she had to have was her anniversary match last year with Arisa Nakajimi, and I gave that match 4.5. I love that match. Like, so she can still do it to a certain extent. But I just want to see her go out there with somebody that has that dog in it, just like Shuri does, and go out here and just say, if somebody gets injured, we'll apologize backstage.
Like that's kind of wrestling that Nai Takahashi was doing in 2019 when she was killing it with like people like Takumi or whoever else. Like, and Shuri can do that, and we've seen Shuri have those kind of matches with people over the last couple of years.
I'm definitely excited to see that match, and just like, I didn't get translations on this or anything, but it just seems like, an old bully calling out like, the contemporary, person that be like, oh, this is y'all tough person, and then Shuri's like, I mean, I'll fight you, like, and she's like, yeah, I know who you are, I'm not afraid of you.
Yeah, used to book me. Yeah,
it's like, we can do it. Like, I'll whoop you. Like, right. This is my shit now.
Yeah, and
the Kairi and Saya Kamatani one, that one was like way different, to say the least.
Man, Kamatani did not get pinned in this match. Kairi has said to her that she wanted a match with her since like an Osaka show back in like, I think June. Maybe it was June, but it's been at least a month.
Oh, I forgot. Nanai and Shuri like came off the blows, and then Ami jumped in on Nanai and was like face to face with her. Yeah. And it was like, what's going on here? And
and then I was like,
that's like a tag setup or something.
Yeah, maybe it's a tag, maybe it's a match before. I don't know. Depending on how it is with the schedule, as far as like trying to fit in like the two matches that Suzu was supposed to have between now and then. They end up getting thrown off in the schedule. They'll have to be added back later. But back to get back to Kairi and Kamatani. Kamatani gets on the mic and she's like crying in tears, and like this. Keep in mind, like Kairi has said that she wanted a match with her over a month ago. They're in this tag match. Kamatani did not get pinned. Kairi then says, my team won the tag match. I want the title shot that I was talking about a month ago or whatever else. And Kamatani's fucking crying. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, what is this? What was the last, why did Tam put you over in December and then in March? And then why did Utami put you over in March? And why did Starlight Kid put you over last month for you to cry and quake in the boots of Kairi? I don't understand. I don't get it. Like, I don't recall seeing Starlight Kid crying when Kairi showed back up because they were going to have a singles match.
Yeah, I was kind of watching it, and I don't have translations for this or anything. The only thing I could think of was, does she have any kind of like reverence for Kairi or anything that she's spoken about before?
No. Not to my knowledge, no.
This wasn't like an influence of hers or anything like that, or?
No. Kamatani's story is she was a dancing idol, that eventually started dancing at these wrestling, at these idol shows that Tam was putting on before the Stardom shows were happening in Shinkiba, first rings. And then Tam and Rossi convinced her into hopping into wrestling because she's 5'6" and athletic and bouncy and springy. And the rest is history. I don't recall her ever. I think at some point she had some love for New Japan Wrestling and Ibushi. Mm-hmm. But as far as Stardom, I don't recall her ever being some Stardom fan. Like this isn't like Utami and Io Shirai. This is not the same thing at all.
In that case, that throws off my theory. I guess, like, yes, I do miss her dancing with Hero Negro. That's funny. He said she was getting it. That's funny. But
Rich is a hater dancing. That's just funny,
bro. That's just hilarious. So the way I saw it was like, I thought that there was some type of like, hey, I looked up to you or whatever. I didn't necessarily know that I would have to face you one day, and I can't believe you're gonna try to like I don't want to fight you because I have this reverence for you, but I will fight you, but you're not gonna take this thing from me that I worked so hard for and just drop back in. Like that's what it kind of looked like to me. But
yeah, I get you. No, that's not the case at all. She's just a geek, and I was like, what the fuck are we doing? Why did we just have 2 of the top 4 push you over the last year for you to do this shit? I was like, what are you doing? Get your ass, stand up, stand up. I couldn't believe this shit. I was upset. I could not believe this. Like, what are you doing? Get up.
When game day comes, she will have the game face. You don't worry.
Oh my god.
About to break Kyrie off some, Phoenix Splash.
Look,
lay
man,
it down.
I tell you this right now. After she did this, I was like, Kyrie, drop an elbow on her and just transition about the Starlight Kid and pay back the loss you gave her back in March. That's how I felt. I was like, you may as well just do that. Cause it's like, what is this? We gotta rebuild her after crying after not losing. She cried after not losing. Like, whatever. So, let's whatever, man. Like, she can always overcome this. She could wrestle her ass off, but whatever. Then the next match after that, you end up with Mayu versus Mirai, and this match was very good. But the turning point was
that fucking lariat to the back of the head.
No. The real turning point was like when they got into the story of like Mayu goes for a tope through the ropes, and Mirai hardly races her and says, "I'll move." And Mayu just crashes and burns, neck and shoulder first, onto the floor mats, and then Mirai then picks her up and gives her like I don't even know what to call it. It's like it's not a power bomb, but it's also not a neck breaker, but it is a power bomb. Either way, she dropped Mayu right on the mat on the floor over that shit, and it looked gross. And then like at some point, Mirai gave her 2 more of those, and Mayu's fighting back. As she's fighting back, Mirai is just like killing her with lariats. And then at some point, she start throwing these big ass lariats to the back of Mayu's skull and neck, and just they look devastating. I'm like, these I don't see them coming. Shits look so devastating, and they're awesome,
bro. You remember the N64 wrestling games when you would do like a running like clothesline and then the person would collapse and it would be like a knockout. Like that's what them clotheslines look like.
Yes. So after Mayu tried to some type of comeback, she got cut off hit with another one of them big bomb lariats in the back of her skull, and then Mirai got her up with a Miramare shock and pinned her. And like this continues the streak of where like I think Mayu's like 1-8 all time in opening day Grand Prix matches, and I think she's lost like the last 8 in a row. So like next year, like I just ain't gonna expect Mayu to lose again. But whatever, like Mirai just pinned the most decorated person in Stardom history, the Tanahashi, the whatever you want to call it, biggest star of the company, and that was really cool. So I ended up giving this 4 stars. I really enjoyed the hell out of this match. I thought like Mayu selling in this match was fantastic, and Mirai was just like, all she does is have good big matches.
Yep.
I'm getting lost here. So next match after that, Utami versus Himeka, and shoulder tackles, lariats, no selling, suplexes, like this is just fun, big horsing around. I can't remember much of this match because it's been so many matches, but by the end, after teasing it, finally getting it, Himeka ends up hitting Utami with the running power bomb, and end up hitting Utami. I ended up giving this 4 flat. They gave me everything I wanted out of this match. Two big, strong women throwing blows.
I did not expect this. I assumed Utami had the hair back, so her powers were restored. They were not on this night. But I thought Himeka looked awesome, and this was an awesome way to get. It was a shock that I was like, "Whoa, shit!" and I didn't reject it or anything. I was like, "Oh, Himeka's on the board." So, Utami will be fine.
Yeah, she's ready to fight the next day. Main event: Hazuki versus Julia. they go out to the floor, and they have a propensity to brawl on the floor, from Hazuki formerly being her former Oedo Tai Hood Rat days, and one of the start matches on the floor where nothing can happen. So you just want me personally have to watch 5 of them. You want to just get in the ring every time. And Julia liking to start matches hot by brawling on the floor, which same thing always, I see enough of these, just get your ass back in the ring and fight. So we're a place where someone actually can win. But they end up taking it up to the ramp, and I forgot how it happened, but Hazuki, because it's 2 sets of stairs, and Hazuki at some point said "fuck this" and just shoved or somehow got Julia sliding down them stairs, and there's an all-time picture. Yes, there's an all-time picture of of Julia, basically you can see her going ass over tea kettle down them stairs, and you can see Hazuki in the background, and you can see almost she's walking away, as if she's walking away from just catching a body. It was fucking hilarious. But anyway,
Julia was falling down them steps like Jason Derulo.
So then Hazuki, she backs up by the higher flight sets of stairs, and then she runs off the platform and hits a running crossbody on this ramp that is it's not a straight ramp. This ramp has a incline and decline, and she ends up hitting the crossbody onto the ramp on Julia. They end up back in the ring, and it's a lot of great wrestling. Ultimately, the finishing stretch is Hazuki saying "You tough, but how tough are you? Because I'm about to hit you with this shoot headbutt, about to hit you with this Michinoku Driver 2, and then I'm gonna get your ass up. And I'm not even gonna try to ping you because I know they ain't gonna ping you. I'm gonna get you ass up and hit you with my finish, the high angle brain buster, and I know you lost the tournament last year, or left the tournament last year with a bad neck, but we're gonna see if this neck is healed up, because I'm gonna put that shit to the test.
Drop you on it.
Yeah. And then pinned her, and I was this was incredible, 3 move sequence. It was just if this is her new finish, her new sequence to beat people, I'm fine with it, because this is awesome. Shoot headbutt, Michinoku Driver, brain buster, boom, 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 gets the win over Julia. I thought it was the best match of the show. I gave this 4 1/4. I love this match.
Big win for Big Zook, and I don't know, I think this may be her signature win of the tournament here. Interesting that Utami and Julia lose night 1, Mayu loses night 1, and it's those 3 are in a hole to start this thing.
Building intrigue. So, I thought this was a great show. I'll go through night 1 faster, night 2 faster. So they did a pre-show match where basically at some point, I think Azumi and Amasaki started. They go through the other Queen's Quest team of Hina and C. Azumi ends up catching C with a Azumi Sushi. Azumi ends up in the next match is Ruaka and Rina. Azumi is catching Ruaka with an Azumi Sushi. And then you get them getting a Stars team of Hazuki and Hanan, where they start with Azumi, and Azumi, and that was really fun until they end up getting Amasaki in there with Hanan, and Amasaki ends up pinning Hanan with a flash pin, and I was like, she never had a Futures title belt match, and sure enough, next day it's announced on the next pay-per-view, Amasaki and Hanan for the Futures belt. And then ultimately the last team that comes out is Maika and Mai, and then Maika destroys Amasaki with a discus lariat that she had to get a second time because Amasaki fucked up the sell for the first one. She was like, "Nope, I'm not pinning you that way. Get up. I'm finna hit you again," and gave her another one and pinned her. So the first night of the main show is Kaguma versus Kogo. They're doing the bear stuff. Kogo didn't fall for it. She ended up double crossing Kaguma. They wrestle around a little bit more, and then ultimately during the high speed stuff, Kaguma ends up catching Kogo with a Kuma roll. I end up giving this 2 3/4. The second match is Mina versus Momo. Mina comes out first. She's doing the Mina dancing. And it's a tight shot. And then all of a sudden, coming into the frame is Momo with the kicks and beats the shit out of her on the ramp. It brings her to the ring. And then this match was really good. And then all of a sudden, like, she's getting Momo is eating up Mina with kicks. And then all of a sudden, Mina, at a point of desperation, she starts bringing out her own mid kicks to the chest. She had been showcasing on Twitter that she had been practicing kicks, but like, these are good fucking kicks. Yeah, these, like, if this is what she's gonna add to, she, like, this changed her trajectory if she's gonna add this. Anyway, that's all I'm saying. So, matches are being really good. They get to the finish where, like, Momo feels compelled to beat this person that she's beaten up 2 times before in singles matches, and she ends up going for the wrench. The ref catches her with the wrench, and then the ref and Momo are fighting over the wrench, and then Mina comes in with a running enziguri, and then at the end of it, after Momo seems like she's got everything in control, Mina escapes, ends up hitting the Glamorous Collection Mina, the seatbelt thing that Wheeler Yuta also does, and got the win. And then Mina says, "Hey, you're 1/3 of the trios champions. Me, Second Saki, and Unagi want a shot at your title." So that's on the 21st. But yeah, like, this is probably the biggest win of Mina's career in Stardom, and this is probably her best singles match. This is probably her best singles match.
The Mina.
I ended up I was vacillating between giving this 3 3/4 or 3 1/2. I stuck at 3 3/4 or 3 1/2. So, but yeah, it was a really good match.
Zekamaki says, "I need Mina Sabre to hit one German suplex, and I'm setting it off like Boosie." I'll set this bitch off.
So, then you end up getting Risa Sera in there with all cap Saki, and this match was disappointing. This match was good, but, like, given what they have shown of late in Stardom, I thought that those two would have, like, a 3 1/2 star match. They ended up having, like, just a 3-star flat match. At the end, Risa ends up catching Saki with this, like, it's an air raid crash that she just, after she drops you, she just holds the pin and just holds it in the 3. But it wasn't like, this was, like, meant to be like a roll up where, like, Saki was trying to wiggle out and with her feet, but she's got caught with Risa on her. But I wonder how that's going to play into future, matches in the tournament. But yeah, 3 flat stars. Kairi and Natsupoi versus Mayu and Ida. Kairi and Natsupoi come down to the ring, and, like, I've never seen 2 people so fucking happy or enjoying each other's company so goddamn much. Like, Rich, you would have hated this weekend. Between Natsupoi and Tam rolling around on the ring together after they won the gauntlet match in the pre-show. And then between Natsupoi and Kairi, like, you would have felt like as if, like, if you, like, I know you're mad on behalf of yourself and Julia and liking Natsupoi so much, but, like, on behalf of Julia has to be watching this shit backstage. She's like, really? Like, she left me, and now she's cheating on me with multiple women. Like, this is how she has to be so upset. So, anyway, like, Kairi comes down to the ring with Natsupoi. Kairi has her own.
Like, she run around in the street.
She has her own. She like, remember, like, Natsupoi has Kairi's 2015 Red Belt Championship gear that she has worn against Tam back into last year's White Belt title match. She wears it for this show, and not only that, Kairi has a matching pirate hat to put for Natsupoi to put on for pose for pictures. So, like, it is Natsupoi, it is Kairi, it is Natsupoi in a pirate's hat. And you know what the name of the tag team is?
What?
The Pirates.
The who?
Natsupoi, Pirates, the Pirates. Man. Yes,
Oh, man.
I know. I knew. Like you'll hate it more when you see it. There's one thing to be explained it audibly or in audio form. When you see it, you're just gonna be like, I fucking hate this because you hate this woman so much now. But
disgusting.
Kyrie starts the match with Ida, and Ida, like, just great showmanship, personality, says, hey, you throw overhand chops, I throw chops, you throw yours, I throw mine. They go back and forth throwing chops, they sell for each other's big chops. Even before then, like, Ida was like, you got big muscles, you know, gym owner Kyrie, I got big muscles. They try to get a pose off, Kyrie didn't want no pose off. She got convinced to do a pose off. They out there flexing, then they do the chops back and forth. Then you get Mayu and Natsupoi in there. They do high speed stuff. I think this is Kyrie's best tag match she's had out of all the tag matches she's had. So I gave this 4 flat. I thought they were fantastic. I thought it was funny at the beginning. I thought Ida was great. I thought all 4 of them were great in this match. Like, this reminded me a lot of, and I thought Mayu was on her game, and like I thought that like it reminded me a lot of in ways like the Wrestle Kingdom tag match, except it went longer. That one may have been better, but this one went longer, so I ended up giving this one 4 stars. Kyrie ends up winning after Natsupoi hits her Ferio gift on Ida, and then Kyrie hits the elbow drop on Ida. So then you end up getting to Tam versus Himeka. Small girl, big girl. All those spots. You're an idiot. Himeka is trying to do.
Himeka trying to pick her up.
Himeka is trying. Oh my god. Himeka is doing a whole bunch of lariating and stuff, and like Tam finds escapes by like, you know, kicking the lariat and then working the arm. Ultimately, there's a spot where like Tam's in trouble. Himeka goes to give her like the power bomb out of the corner to the opposite corner, and Tam escapes, and ultimately this leads to a bottom rope superplex from back superplex. I was like, what was the point of even doing all this? Whatever. Ultimately, after that happens, Tam says, I have enough of this shit. V-trigger from the front, V-trigger to the back of the head, V-trigger from the side, front, back, side to side, and then hits the Twilight Dream on Himeka, and Himeka, because she's just built like a damn rubber band, like her neck just crunches, and she sits there and lays and gets pinned. I ended up giving this 3.5. Like this match started slow, but like by the time like Tam got into gear for the finish, like this got this into the very good territory. Next match, Mariah versus Julia. This match is like Julia. Sometimes some of the bad Julia stuff is she likes to like do mat and ground wrestling at the start of her match. Sometimes she's not working with her best attributes. But Mariah is so good as a mat and floor wrestler that like this match held together very well. And then the bomb started throwing, and Julia was in control when that started happening. And then Mariah like answered back with some lariats and also hit lariats to the back of the dome. And Julia, I forgot exactly what the finish was, but like it was something along the lines of like somebody had a big move, Julia escaped out of it and got into a pin situation, like a matchbox pin, and then they start reversing pins back and forth. And then at the end, Mariah reversed it into a Rana cradle and got the win. I gave this 4 flat stars. I thought it was excellently wrestled. And Julia was like, what the fuck? And I was just like, this is great, because like she finna come back roaring out this shit. And it's like, this is like those Naito runs, except this Naito in particular is like having great matches at the start of it, it just happens to lose, as opposed to like not trying hard and then trying hard as start winning matches. So like, I think this is going to be, this what do you call it? Setback for a major come up is going to be great. It's going to be great. So, yeah, Mariah ends up beating Julia and Mayu.
Yeah.
Nice 1-2
for Mariah.
Yeah. The push was over though, right? The push was over.
Stayed in Tokyo Joshi Pro.
Yeah. So then the next match after that is Kamatani versus Kid, and this is basically like, I can't say it's the same match as their white belt match because like the white belt match had so much of the story of the match being about like the leg being worked over. But it's like, imagine if they decided to have like all the same moves in their match, except like we're not going to bog down the match or whatever you want to call it by adding to the match. Let's say adding to the match with selling a leg and then proceeding to not sell the leg and do spectacular shit or whatever else. So I love this match. I love this fucking match. 4 1/4. I think it went like 12 minutes. They just RLPW, get the bullshit out the way. Like, not the bullshit, but like the shit that's going to make the story not make sense of the match you're trying to sell. It was great. At the end, Kid ends up, she's in trouble for a little bit, and then she ends up hitting the Momo Nakanishi, like, Hurricane Rana pin deal. It's called a Momorachi, Momo Latch, whatever. Gets the big, roll up win on Kamatani. She finally gotten off the snide against Kamatani, so I think their career record is like, I think she may have lost 2 or 3 times to Kamatani. Now she finally won one. Obviously she's still in the hunt for the white belt, so that's back at play. And like, it looked like Kamatani wanted to cry again. I was like, what the fuck? At least it wasn't as bad as the Kyrie full on sobbing shit, but like, it was like, stop crying, stop. But
she's emotional.
Yeah.
She's loud.
Yeah. So, next match after that, the main event, Utami versus Shuri.
They did it again?
Not a draw. This wasn't a draw. They did do it again, though. They had another absolute banger. You've seen them do it once. You've seen them do it twice. You've seen them do it 3 times, 4 times. This is the 5th time. No. Yeah, it's the 5th time, I think. It went out there. They did them. It was fantastic. At the end, like, Utami, we've all seen Utami coming ever since we started watching the show, watching Stardom 2019, early 2019. We knew she was going to be a future champion, potential, probably a future ace, all that kind of stuff. However, I've never viscerally rooted for her in the middle of a match. I always appreciated her and thought she was a great champion and all that kind of stuff and everything. I've always liked her. She's never been my favorite, right? Like, my favorites are Tam and Mayu and Shuri, right? And Azumi, right? So they get down to the closing stretch of this match, and I'm just like, you got it, Utami. Just put her away. And then she hits the Black Tiger Bomb, the spinning Razor's Edge, and she drops Shuri, and Shuri's out. And the pin happens, gets to 1, gets to 2. Shuri grabs her head, right? And then gets to 3, and then like Shuri like rolls over, and then like Shuri eventually like basically came to it, like basically like she got hit with the Black Tiger Driver. She was knocked out by the Black Tiger Driver. This is all kayfabe. And then like she only came to at like the 2 count, couldn't do nothing, and then she turns over with her because she just got fucking devastated by this move, and like she grabs her head and turns over and looks up and like screams and cries because of how much pain she's in from this fucking move. She sold this thing as if she just got destroyed. It was excellent. Like, she sold this move like it's the most devastating thing in the world. Utami, after, a whole year
of nothing,
of doing next to nothing, she felt like the biggest star in the world again. She finally got off the board against like this person she could never whoop after going to, 3 draws and a loss to her. She finally got off the board and beat this person you can never beat. She did it in 14 minutes and 56 seconds. She beat her at the 3 seconds for the buzzer. 4 seconds for the buzzer. This was great. It played on the expectations that you're going to get a fucking draw because it's Hatman Rossi and it's Stardom. All they do is fucking draws. And at the end of it, she beat her. She got the biggest win she had all of the year. And it obviously means they're going to have another match again. I can't wait for this fucking match again.
Run it up.
I love this match. 4.5. 4.5. I love this match. I think this is their 3rd best match.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch night 2. Sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah. So but that was starting this weekend. Just two great shows. 2 great shows. And They did a lot of stuff to make you interested on, built you up for next pay-per-view, built you up for future matches down the road, with certain champions. Just like after this, I was like, look, man, Ross and Tony Khan, I don't know when I don't know when, like, they're not gonna be 1 and 2 for best booker. I don't know when that reign ever stops, but like, they're about to be Kevin Durant and LeBron in this bitch in the early 2000s, early 2010s, where it just like, it's 1 and 2 them for 3-4 straight years. They did it again, Joe. Yeah, I thought this was great. But yeah, that's all I have on Stardom. The pay-per-view they have next week or in a couple weeks, whatever. So we'll get to it when we get to it. But like, it's a loaded show with tons of great matches. And that's gonna be another killer show.
Yep, they are running it up on the pay-per-views. So there is the announcement of the IWGP Women's Championship.
Yeah.
That is. Do you have more info on that, James? Or
yeah, basically, it's going to be the match for it is going to be on the joint show between Stardom and New Japan on our November 11th, and the name of that show is Crossover, I think. Mm-hmm. It's X something, like, and the X means cross. I think it's Crossover. Like. That's a New Japan Pro Wrestling belt. It's not a Stardom belt. It is booked by Rossi, but it is a New Japan Pro Wrestling belt. It will be from what Kadani has said about it is they plan on having matches or shows or matches to defend that belt on like Wrestle Kingdoms, Dominions, maybe one Stardom show per year, and then after that, like shows in the US, like on New Japan Strong tours or whatever else. So. There's a lot of good options for who could be that champion. So whoever they come up with is cool. But like the top belts in the promotion are still the red and white belt, and this is a New Japan belt. That will be on a Stardom show once per year. In the words of Kadani, they think it'll be like anywhere from 4 to 8 defenses in any given year.
Man, my alarms are going off. Like. Just the history of pro wrestling, and I would assume that a top wrestler will win this belt. I feel like this is Mayu Iwatani's belt.
It makes sense. It would fit in line with SWA.
I don't think this is going to be on some lower card wrestler. I don't think this is going to be on some unimportant title. And if New Japan's like hosting a lot of these, that opens the door for a lot of stuff that is very late at night. I don't feel like going all the way into, but like keep your eyes open on this is what I'm saying. It's like, I don't know, man. Like it's a lot, man. Like, and it's, you can give it to Kyrie. That's another good option. Zekamaki says it's going to be on the biggest name, and Kyrie doesn't wrestle full time anyway. So if the belt is on that schedule, you could just put it on her and do that.
You could. He's an option. It makes sense.
It's like
Io was an option that made sense too until she re-signed with WWE.
Yep, and I don't know. Like this opens the door for Stardom to be absorbed into New Japan one day. I know people don't want to hear it, maybe think I'm crazy. But like, the belts, if they're looking for ways that, like, I got spooked by that New Japan press conference. Let's just say that, like, where all the moves they're making, I feel like they told us like they're about to start making drastic moves. They're about to, quote unquote, come into the 21st century, if you will. I look at something like Carl Fredericks not being re-signed, and I'm like, well, the whole thing with him is like they missed the boat. They were screaming about youth. He's gone at 32 now. This thing is like, and I feel like it's a shining example of maybe their young lion system needs to speed up, and maybe that if they were developing new people, they wouldn't be looking for other options. Like now they're talking about going to the West and, incorporating women into the thing. And, I am very wary of this whole thing.
Yeah, I it's a possibility. I'm not really concerned. Because I think, well, because I'm thinking
New Japan needs to be refreshed, and what better way to refresh them than with the hot product of Stardom?
Yeah, but the hot product relative to the standard of them wanting to draw what they've been drawing or draw compare more to what they were before the pandemic, I don't think Stardom's going to get them there. I get the idea if you put the same kind of exposure behind it, maybe it does, but like, after hearing that Kadani was saying that like Stardom has reached like their 7-year plan that they have for them in year 3, I don't think that like the idea is like we are going to start like taking younger people and train them to be wrestlers because that works for Stardom. And like in the meantime, between time, we'll use the Stardom wrestlers to be the stopgap until we get ourselves another Okada, right? I don't think that like I don't see how like you absorbing people or whatever, blah blah blah, whatever you're gonna do. Like I think keeping them separate makes you more money, like short term and long term. So so when
they got to spend more money too, I would think. Right now, it's just like, you're booking double the amount of buildings. You're setting up tours for both sides. You're maintaining 2 separate payrolls. Like if you chop half of them.
Yeah, but the reason why you're making more money, or the reason why you're spending more money is because, one, you're doing all these shows on the New Japan side to break even on the New Japan front, while Stardom, because they do smaller venues and they sell way more merch because they have a lot of horny men that will spend money on these women. I don't think you can replicate that to that extent if you put them in New Japan Pro Wrestling, because they didn't like those people that are spending that amount of money on merch. They're not New Japan fans, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
And even if they were, they already watched both. So like the idea really, if you're trying to make profit off of that, then it'd be like do smaller venues for New Japan. It wouldn't be to like put the women like on all these New Japan shows thinking that like it's going to like.
I'm way down the road on that, but like I don't know. I just see this whole thing and I don't know. I see predatory tactics like often in just reading about the history of wrestling. I know Japan's different, but like I don't put it past New Japan with them like with that press conference looking to shake things up and do different things. Like I feel like they're in the we'll try anything mode.
I just think that it wouldn't work. I just think that like it wouldn't work. Like I don't know why, if you're a New Japan fan that doesn't watch Stardom, like why you would care, or why does it make you like want to continue being a customer? Not to say that the women aren't great wrestlers, they are, but it's like, okay, like if I wanted to watch this, I could have watched this. I see them every year at Wrestle Kingdom. I don't care.
Yeah, it's a lot, something to think about. So we'll monitor the story as it keeps going.
Yeah, but that's the end of the show. Thanks for listening, y'all. If you're watching from the stream, go to the Cash App, go to the PayPal. If you are listening from the stream, go to our Word Circle in the show links and drop us off a donation. Be sure to listen to the other shows on the network besides One Nation Radio, Keepin It Strong Style, the Ricky Clive Wrestling Show, Grown Men Watch This Shit, the Grave Consequences Podcast, 8-Bit Suplex, All Things Elite, Great Match Generator, Get in the Ring, Meet the Press Slam, and AEW Match Guide. Thanks for listening, y'all. Later.
Peace.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $700 on average, and those savings add up. Imagine what you could buy in the future.
So I used the savings from switching to Progressive 30 years ago to buy tickets to the championship game. You know, between those two teams that didn't exist 30 years ago. Yeah, I'm a big Alaska Palm Trees fan. Which is a team now? In the future?
So switch to Progressive and save big because those savings can add up in the future. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customer surveyed who saved with Progressive in 2020. Potential savings will vary.